Warning, it is the opinion of the 4th Street Productions and the Working Perspectives podcast Weekend Pop-In that we should inform you that some of the language used in this recording could possibly be considered offensive. You've been warned, so if you decide to listen, then don't complain like a fucker.
Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by the Prince of Party, the party man himself, the party boy, Pete McCormick, and our guest today is N-Dub's favorite son, J-Dub, Justin Richardson. Party boy Pete, how are we feeling, my man?
I'm feeling pretty good, Matrick. How about yourself?
You know, if I'm doing any better, they have to lock me up, pal. All right. So you can find all our content and all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show and think you have the cojones, the chutzpah, the moxie to be on the show, then just email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. All right, let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. Would you share it? Would you share it? Would you share it? Working Perspectives.
Okay, party boy Pete, party boy, the party man, the one that parties, party boy Pete McCormick. So today is a big day, right?
Oh, what's going on? What's today?
Today is the day.
Is it 9/11?
It is not. But today is the day we turn this show around because we have, I'll tell you what, there's some people that you run into, and I think you and me have the same kind of thoughts about our guest today. There's some people that you just run into that, you know what, this guy fucking gets it, and we're going to be friends, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I feel like our guest today, Justin Richardson, is that guy. So I'll tell you the day, let's do this. I'm going to tell you when I first met him, and then you tell me when you first met him. So the first time I ever met Justin Richardson, I think I was in like 10th grade, maybe, and he was in 9th grade or something around that. And we were hanging out at a friend of ours, friend of the show, listener of the show's house, one John Deary, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And it was me. And like I had hung out with John, and John is really good friends with Justin and Justin's brother. And they would talk about Justin, but I'd never met him because we went to Catholic school at the time and Justin was in public school. And like, I kind of just never crossed paths with him. Right.
Yeah.
And then I keep hearing about this Justin guy, he's fucking this Justin guy, you know? And I'm like, who's this Justin guy? What's the deal here? You know? And then one day we're hanging out and we're going to have a sleepover. And the way it was is Deary's house, his old house was the fucking best. He lived in a twin that was right next to this church, and he had a huge parking lot. So we could like ride our bikes and like play hockey and basketball and like all this stuff.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah. In the parking lot. And then also he had a garage, a 2-story garage that the first floor, it was like, a workshop, and they had like a Chevelle there. They had this old Chevelle that they were working on, which was beautiful, like cherry Chevelle with a black racing stripe. I remember that car was awesome. And then upstairs, they had a gym with a wrestling mat, a full wrestling, like a wrestling mat,
really?
and padded walls. Yeah. Dude, and we used to fucking like throw down up there. That was like for sleepovers, it was like the best sleepover spot. because like you're just there, like you're messing around, wrestling all night, and like
Throw one roll or some shit, and here you go.
we would have like music and stuff up there, and like we would like every once in a while we would sneak a TV up there and play video games and stuff, and like it was just awesome, and like then like also we would like his dad was like, hey, he would say to us is like, if I see one blade of grass broken and no you fuckers left this house, I'm beating all your asses and your dads are gonna let me. And we were like, yes, Mr. Deary.
He was a pretty jacked guy too, from what I remember, Matt.
Oh, dude, Mr. Deary. I remember Mr. Deary had tendonitis in both elbows, right? And he was still pressing like 225, like it was nothing, right? And I remember watching it like, Jesus Christ, like Mr. Deary's the fucking man. Always love Mr. Deary. Big fan.
Oh yeah, big fan.
Yeah, big fan. He's awesome. So either way, we're there, we're hanging out, and sorry, Mr. Deary, but Brian Deary, John's older brother, sorry to incriminate you, Brian, was, dude, I'll tell you what, we talk, you know how like there's like neighborhood legends of like the baddest dudes ever? This guy is like top 3 baddest motherfuckers going.
Yeah, I remember the stories. I remember.
Oh, dude. He's like he's a badass dude, total badass, awesome, but cool dude too.
Yeah.
So either way, he knew we were hanging out, and he was like, he knew we were like the young heads, like the young kids, and he was like, all right, I'll hook these guys up, and he bought us 40s. Right?
Oh shit!
Yeah, and I was like,
what were they of, man? What were the 40s of?
Oldie. It was oldie.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I remember like this was like one of the first like few times I had been drinking. Like I had drank before, but like I remember like this is when we first started like. Well, for me at least, this is when I first started to drink. Like as a kid, like this is when I was like the time because my dad had split, so it was like the law had left with him. You know what I mean? So I was like, it's time to fucking party. So either way, like we're there, we popped the trunk of the red Chevelle that was in the garage, and he had hidden the 40s for us in the trunk. It was a summer night as well, so these weren't chilled 40s, but we were at the point where like we do not give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're younger, you don't know any better. Like that's probably the reason why we thought beer sucked when we were younger, is because we always got it warm or skunked. Like
yeah, and we weren't care. We were fucking pounding it, right? Like we were taking stuff that like I remember like we'd had like a barbecue at my house, and like we were stealing like the leftover beers that were in a cooler that would been there for like a couple days.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, let's run to the woods, and we drink like 5 of them, and be like, oh, how do you? And we'd be like, oh God, how do we get this down?
That's why God invented the beer bong. You know what I mean? That way you could just get it done real quick.
Oh yeah, baby. I remember my first beer bong. I fucking love that thing. I forget its name, but either way, I think I just named it 4th Street. We were 4th Street at the time. 4th Street for life, so I'm still 4th Street. How are you doing? So either way, so Justin we'd hung out then and really formed a bond that would be a lifelong friendship. I do want to say this as well. So we had drank all the 40s, and we're like, just having fun, doing our thing. And I remember John Deary, who's the guy's house that we were at, he had saved a cap from the 40. Right. And we all signed it with our initials, and I would like this because I knew years later he would still have it, but I don't know if he still has it to this day because he has kids and a wife and all that. So then I do want to say this, and I'm hoping Justin will elaborate on this just to know the greatness of this story. So Pete, you remember my house on Markle Street in Manayunk, right? 444 Markle Street.
Good times.
Legendary house. A lot of shit went down in that house. It was a big time fun party house, like doing
that one time I fell asleep on your floor and I woke up and 12 people were using me as a pillow.
I remember that. And I think you were dressed as Santa Claus as well, weren't you?
It's possible.
Yeah, that was one of we used to have, our big thing was our Christmas party. We used to do a Christmas rager every year. I mean, we did ragers all the time, but we would like shell out, like we're going nuts. Like this was like a 3 keg party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So either way, so we're hanging out and we're at my house one night, and it was just like a regular week night, and we're hanging out and we're playing video games. And it just so happens the game we were playing was Mario Kart Double Dash, right? So at this time, I'd already solidified myself as probably the world's greatest, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I had done feats that were incomprehensible to most humans, right? When you would watch me play, it was like, Beethoven conducting a symphony. It was Mozart at its finest, really Pablo Picasso-esque, right? And it was just really, really just true art in motion. So there's this one time we're playing, and when you are the top dog, when you're the Yankees, right? When you're the upper echelon, everyone's gunning for you. You're everybody's Super Bowl. You're
That's
everybody's
true.
World Series, right?
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. Sometimes the spotlight can be the loneliest place in the world, and that's where I was, right? So I'm in first place pretty much the whole time when we're running this race, Mario Kart. And we get to the last race, which is always Rainbow Road, right?
Oh.
The road to Rainbow Road, available now on YouTube, if you could check it out. Great episode. So either way, I'm riding down Rainbow Road, doing my thing, kicking A, taking ends, slapping necks, snapping checks, whatever you want to do. And all of a sudden, we're 2 laps in, right? And we're on the last lap, and then it happens. I get hit with 1 blue shell. I recover, still in first place. Get hit with another blue shell. Recover, still in first place. So for those people that don't know, in Mario Kart, the blue shell only hits the person in first place, and it demolishes them, right? So I get hit again by the blue shell, and then once again, right? And I'm still in first place, still killing it, right? And then people are starting to catch up to me, though, and it's starting to get tough. So eventually someone passed me, and I was in second place after the 5th blue shell, right? Then I pass the person again. I'm now in first place again, and I'm hit by my 6th blue shell on Rainbow Road as we're about to finish. Luckily, I was able to get a box, get a red shell, hit the person that passed me, and finish first and still win after getting hit by 6 blue shells on Rainbow Road on the last lap. And it was just, it's really people that witnessed it. It's something you tell your grandparents about. It's really, really a feat that, it's never been duplicated, and it never will be. It's unbelievable. So yeah, so that's just, just another story why I am the best, and I will remain the best and always will be the best at Mario Kart Double Dash. So Party Boy Pete, I already shared my story of when I met J-Dub. Do you remember your story of when you met J-Dub?
So instead of my story when I met J-Dub, there's a story that I was like telling because I hadn't seen J-Dub in a while, and I was dating a girl. And I was trying to act like I was, very mature and past my drinking. I was never a fighter, that. One of the few times I got into a scuffle, J-Dub happened to witness it. So I don't know why the top coming in, but you convince her like, yeah, I'm mature now. I'm not really into fighting or anything.
Yeah.
And then I walk into the house, and you're there with Justin, and he goes, Pete, the last time I saw you, you picked up so and so and slammed him on the concrete. It was the baddest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, well, thanks.
Yeah,
we didn't make it, so it's all good. But it was just like I was like, oh, that was the best spot blow up I've ever witnessed, and it was to me.
Oh my god, I think dude. Well, I was there that night as well, and I'll tell you, it was terrifying to watch because, like you said, you're the nicest guy. You don't like, hey, you're blessing and the curse being a big guy because you're an intimidating presence, but you're also a target, right? So like you never instigate a fight, you never start them, but yeah, you'll finish one, and I've seen it, and it was terrifying to behold. So well, without further ado, I'm really happy that Justin has been listening to the show, and that he's a fan of the show, and that he agreed to be on the show. And I couldn't be more happy when he agreed to be on. And also he stepped in a couple times to help to guest host when needed. And more than happy to have him on. Really happy he's here. And I'd just like to ask before we get started, Justin, have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what do you think of that piece of shit movie?
I have seen it, and I don't think about it. I saw it. It was all right. I don't know. I didn't passionately hate it. I can tell you that much.
You had a nice Friday evening eating popcorn,
Yeah, what was it, like an hour and 45 minutes? Was it 2 hours?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Remy Malek's got big teeth. I really like Mr. Robot, and he's the new Bond villain. I'm hyped to see that.
Yeah.
I like Queen, and I don't think about the movie at all.
Oh, so you're just really nonplussed. You don't have an opinion altogether.
Yeah,
Really?
like I think about that movie as often as I think about the movie.
Because like that Rocket Man, and there was another like there was all these like old rock movies that came out the same year, and they all blended together.
I think
Yeah.
about Bohemian Rhapsody as often as I think about Demolition Man.
Oh,
I love Demolition Man.
yeah, I do love
I mean,
Demolition
it
Man.
exists, but I don't think about it that much.
But you know what? I also love Bohemian Rhapsody. Sorry.
If you liked Bohemian Rhapsody, you probably loved Demolition Man.
I love Demolition Man. Both Demolition Mans, but the Stallone one,
Wait,
obviously.
there's a
best.
second one?
I didn't even know there was a sequel to Demolition.
There's
Man.
They
a second?
remade it with Carl Urban. It's actually pretty good.
When?
It had to be like
Wait,
5,
are
6
you
years.
wait? Are you thinking of Demolition Man or Judge Dredd?
Oh shit, I'm thinking of Judge.
Yeah,
Dredd
you're
on
thinking
it.
of Judge
You know,
Dredd.
I think they're the same movie to me. Like they just blend all that.
For the record, Judge Dredd, first R-rated movie I ever saw in theaters.
No shit.
Ah.
Ah.
Illegally, by the way, because I was not 17 by then.
Yeah. Yeah, good
Oh,
for
man.
you.
To wrap up
Man.
those beginning stories, so I witnessed Kid Salami take 6 blue shells in the final lap of Rainbow Road. And when you got up, you looked at me and you screamed, "Tell your grandmother about that." And then you ripped your control out of the wall and stapled it to the wall. Like as if you were never going to use it again. And I saw my grandmother like, I don't know, 7 times a year. And I happened to see her like 2 weekends later. And we're standing in her living room. I was like, just so you know, Kid Salami took 6 blue shells in the final lap. And Brad looked at me and he was like, "Why'd you what?" And I was just like, I promised somebody I would
Yeah,
tell her. And to this day, you are Kid Salami in my phone, by the way. You used to be Matt Lavelle spelled incorrectly, and now you're just Kid Salami.
Hey, I mean, you know, that's one of my my many nemesis is, or no, what? How would you say?
The aliases.
Aliases. Yeah, that's one of my many aliases.
I'm my own nemesis.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just outside of a shitty bar in North Wales, and I saw Pete pick up somebody higher than I've ever seen anyone else pick someone up before in person.
Dude,
And he
I remember
Laying them
this.
in the ground, and
Oh,
then he looked so sorry that he made him do that to him. That I was
yeah.
like, that's the most intimidating thing I have ever witnessed with my own eyes. Is not only a man who could dominate another man in such a way, but then be passionately sorry about it. I didn't want to do that to you. You did that to you.
It took.
I think I was
It's like when your
sorry because
father
Liam and Matt stopped me from finishing the job.
Dude,
when your
it
father
took, well,
hits
no,
you.
it was me, Liam, and I think there was a third person because we couldn't get you off him because
Maybe
it was
Lumley, I don't know, around
dude,
that time period.
Yeah, it was like because you were fucking hot, man. I thought you were gonna fucking kill. I thought, dude,
I was
the
hammered.
thud.
I just saw it like it's passionate slow mo. It's just like, oh my god,
I mean,
he is so powerful.
Yeah, it was. It was scary. Yeah, it's
To be
dude,
young again.
It's like you ever see a polar bear? You know, like it was.
Now,
Yeah, it like puts things in perspective because I'm a big dude. I can fuck people up, and I like just stood there. I was like, oh, Pete could murder 3 of me at once.
Yeah.
And but Justin, time catches up. There was a couple weekends ago. I was throwing my nieces around in a pool, and now my back is like still fucked up from it. They weigh like 20 pounds each.
Dude, is it not like I throw my daughter in the air? Like I'll try and throw her as like high as I can, like 6 feet out of my hands, and I'm like, that's not fast, and she's like going nuts, loving it, and my wife is like, and it is like in my mind, I'm like, oh god, if I drop her. But the worst part is like, yeah, I'll drop her and she'll get hurt. That would suck. But also, I'd have to hear my fucking wife fucking just.
Hey, I've hurt numerous children.
On purpose or accidentally? They were just like in
too
your.
rough, yo. They want to wrestle.
Yeah.
You going to come for it, yo.
Yeah. I actually.
Justin was at McDonald's. He races them up and goes down on the tray. Runs into 4 kids on the way down.
Yeah, you don't want to see me in a moon bounce, yo. I dominate.
Yeah.
Did you guys do that when you were? Did you ever learn that trick? Like at McDonald's at their playgrounds, you would take the tray to go down the slide. You would go like super fast.
No, I didn't know that.
Dude,
What,
You can only do it a couple of times before you got kicked out for breaking the trays.
dude,
we had,
so
like-
you would sit on the tray in the slide
Yeah.
and go, dude, I bet you were flying.
Oh yeah,
Smart.
Damn, you're a
It's like the
genius.
potato sack at the fair. Get you booking.
exactly. That was what we were thinking of. We're like, oh, well, you know what? Like this probably works even better.
Them things were so
wow.
dirty, yo.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
The fair itself is like, oof. We had on the show last week, or yeah, I think it was last week. We had Diana on the show, and she had talked about how at Graham's once a year there's a festival, like a carnival that visits a nearby church.
I know exactly where it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and the carnies that work the festival come into Graham's on their pay night. I think it's Wednesday, and it's like, bro,
It's the gathering of the juggalos.
bro, dude. The one year they had bed bugs, and like there's a laundromat next door, and people were like freaking the fuck out, and I'm just like, oh,
I'd be so upset if gypsies gave me bed bugs.
I would not be happy about that either.
Those gypsy bed bugs are so strong.
Dude, they are a bunch.
They're like, normally you got to cook them up to 112. But these gypsy bed bugs, 140, 150.
I'm not going to talk shit on gypsies just because I don't want to be cursed.
Every morning your wallet's empty.
Yeah.
No, that's wild. I mean, remember
Motherfucker. My wife is European. She's not Eastern European. All right. So
you just got to make sure she's not bottling your tears.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll do that, yeah.
There is some weird, like, I guess not weird, but like quirky superstitions that happen. So this is how it works, is that there's like some quirky superstitions that she'll be like, oh, you can't do this. And I'm like, oh, all right, geez.
Yeah.
But then at some point I'm like, you're just fucking making that up because you don't want me to do this. You know what I mean? So but there's some like
oh, you can't leave dishes in the sink overnight, or it's a curse.
Yeah. Oh, you can't leave the trash that high, or it's a curse. No, but
you don't run
yeah. There's one where it's like you can't if you change seats.
If you hit me, I'll call the police.
Yeah.
In my culture, we call police when you hit me.
Yeah. There's
like,
one
no,
where
they don't.
You can't change. Yeah, please. The police are the ones doing it. No, I'm kidding. But if you change like seats at a dinner table after you started eating, apparently that's like bad luck. And if you have like multiple forks in your dish that you're using, that means you want multiple wives, right? And if you have one sock on while in bed, that means you want your significant other to die.
All of these things are crazy things. If my girlfriend got in bed with one sock on, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, who does go to bed with one sock on? Like,
you can wear socks to bed, but 2 socks.
Yeah. Like, once the one foot feels free, doesn't the other one want to be released? Like,
sometimes I get a little hot and cold, and I'll have one leg out, one leg in, but I'll have both socks on.
Yeah, you're not a heathen. You're not a gypsy.
Same thing. Why do you have 2 forks in your plate? Like, what are you doing? What are you eating?
2 forks.
I don't know.
Why would you change your seat after you started eating?
I mean, they all make sense. There is some of them that make sense. Yeah.
Like, what's going on in your culture where this like became a habitual problem where they had to put it in their religion, like thou shalt not switch seats.
I mean, it's more of a superstition than a religion, but yeah. Where she's at in Albania, it's strange because half of the population is like Greek Orthodox Christian, right? And then the other half is Turkish Ottoman Empire Muslim, right? So it's just because like they were conquered by the Turks and the Muslims like during the Ottoman Empire, right? And then they were also conquered by the Italians in World War II, and then the Nazis like invaded and stayed, but they fought them out. They fought out the Muslims as well. Albania is a fascinating country.
Did the communists get them too, or no?
Yeah, they went.
Were they under Tito? Were they part of, or
they were communism after World War II? They chose communism.
But was it always Albania, or were they part of like Yugoslavia? Were they one of those countries that broke up?
They were by themselves. It was always Albania.
Action Bronson and Big Body Bez are from Albania.
So is John Belushi and Mother Teresa.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so they got some.
Albania's cool. Eastern Europe is there's some.
Well, they're considered the Balkans, so we get it.
Yeah, but that's Eastern Europe, right? The Balkans aren't. Is it?
I mean, there
because it was the powder keg of Europe.
Is Greece considered? Would you consider Greece Eastern Europe?
Yes, I would.
Then they are because they're right above Greece.
Yeah.
Oh my shit.
Yeah, they're. I mean, dude, I'll tell you honestly, and I've said this a million times. And for all like the Mark Cubans that listen to the show, he's a big fan of the show, listener to the show. Thank you. And like any other like investor that has a lot of money, if you put an all-inclusive in Albania, that's the next French Riviera. Just because where it's located, the cost of living there, how they love Americans.
They have
which
all
is great.
inclusives, Matt.
They're in the process of building one now, and as soon as they do, dude, it is the spot. The food's great, the people are awesome, the tourist, like the tourism you can do there, like you can take a ferry and be in Venice or Rome in like an hour while crossing the Adriatic Sea, which you can see completely to the bottom, that isn't polluted. You can swim, like the water is not polluted or anything like that. There, and like, dude, they have more castles and history than you know what to do with. It's like rich, mountainous, beautiful country. Like one day we were there, right? And we got on this, we went to like this place, right? It was like 20 minutes away, got on a ski lift, went to the top of a mountain, right? This is in the middle, this is like in the fall. So it's 80 and sunny every day, right? Because they have perfect weather every day. It never rains, it never snows. So you go to the top of, we went to the top of a mountain, we went to a resort, we had lunch overlooking the valley that held their capital city, right? And we just went back down, and that was like an hour and a half. And you can do that whenever, you know.
This place sounds awesome. Is this a podcast, or are you gonna try and sell me a timeshare in Albania?
Yeah, really.
I mean,
Because I
dude,
will buy one. Yo, it sounds dope.
It's yeah. If honestly, if I mean, I wouldn't mind living there, tell you the truth. It's so awesome.
Dude,
plus,
yeah.
the dollar goes a long way, if you know what I mean. So it's not a
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, and like the way, like if you ever get, I'll say this to fucking cows come home, if you ever get invited to an Albanian wedding, it's the big, like I've been to some big fucking parties and had some big parties. It is the biggest party I've ever been to.
If you can find me a place that has good weather and no natural disasters, I will live there.
Yeah. Also, like,
Oh, yeah.
like, dude, like, no, like, there's no crime. Like, don't get it wrong, there is some crime, but it's very organized. Like, so, okay, so think of it like
That's how I love my
They're
crime.
very efficient.
they are. Well,
Organized
dude,
crime has rules, you know?
dude, well,
You just don't act up.
think about it like this, right? Like, so they were a communist country until like the mid 90s, right? Then they had a government collapse because they fell for a Ponzi scheme. So now the country is rebuilding itself. Their main focus is tourism because they have like all these beautiful things that the prime minister's like, look, hey, it's free fucking money. The shit's here anyways. Let's fucking church it up. So like they're really like building up the cities and like the tourist areas, and like it's fucking incredible. And then like you walk around, it's all like there's no crime, like there's at no point was I not safe, but there is this, right? So if you look at Europe is like they patrol it pretty well. It's tough to get like things in there, right? Like you need to know, like there's some places in Portugal and Spain and like some parts of Italy.
Europe.
Well, like illegal like drugs and stuff.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. So it's tough to get like drugs and stuff into Europe. But for a while, it wasn't tough if you went through Albania. So Albania was known, like there's a drug town and like some drug lords that were known as like the kingpins of the Balkans.
All right,
that
I'm
were
already
like
sold.
there were some of like the biggest drug dealers and like drug manufacturers and drug distributors in the world, right, in Europe and possibly the world. But also another thing is the reason that is, so like obviously the Taken movies are big, War Dogs, like there's a ton of movies where like the villains are Eastern Europeans, right, or portrayed like, and Albanians especially. And the reason is because they chose communism after World War II, right? So they really got a bad rap.
Oh, I don't know if they chose it.
Well, they went communist. Yeah, they were straddled with communism after World War II, and it was like, you know, they just got a bad rap. It really, but like, dude, my wife and like my in-laws and stuff have told me stories of like they were there during the collapse, and like people were just had fucking guns, and like you're walking around with guns, like you knew like don't go to this area because you get killed, like. People were like, you know, like people still had to work and stuff, but like you're just like, you know, walking around with an AK. The police were kind of non-existent, but eventually they would clean all that up and stuff. But they said that wasn't even as dangerous as before, because before, the way the communist era is that if you like, say if you had a neighbor you didn't like, you could go to the authorities and say that this person's spreading propaganda against the government. The next day the family's gone.
It's like North Korea.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, like that, you know, like also imagine this, right? They had one channel, right?
That's how Russia was.
One channel.
Yeah.
So you have a TV that has one channel that played from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. and then it cut off, right? So if you were on TV ever, you were a fucking megastar, right? Yeah. because the whole country's watching. So my father-in-law was on TV annually, like a couple times a year, because he was the #1 dancer in Albania.
Hell
Dude,
yeah.
it's pretty, like when we go back there, like he's a big deal. Like I've been down, like I walk around with him because me and him are like boys, like we'll go out to like he like like we're walking around, like there's people coming up to him on the streets and stuff and like being like, oh, and he's like the coolest dude, you know what I mean? And then like he took me out one night with him and his boys, bro. They fucking party down, man.
Oh, yeah.
It was like also like him, all and his buddies were former dancers in the troupe, right? So like dancing in Albanian culture is almost like a form of combat to them, because the way it was back in the day is that like if one girl got married to a guy from another village, at the wedding, they're like, fucking, who's got the better what, right? Who's got the better food? Who's got the better
dance
show
battle.
off? Who's got, right? So then when it came to dancing, it's like, who's going to show? Like, who's going to be better? And they throw the fuck down, bro. Like, dude, these guys, they're old, like they're in their almost like 70s, like late 60s. And they're like, they would like hold, like one person holds one guy's hand. He stands there, does a flip. The other one does a flip. Then they do flips like back and forth, standing there holding a hand. Like they're doing like this flip. They're dancing like they do like this dance where they play the rhythm and it goes like faster and their feet are like,
Yeah.
like, oh, it's like, it's fucking awesome to watch. And like they're old men tearing it the fuck down. It was
Sounds hype.
yeah, I mean, and then they I was like the laugh break, because they were like getting into it, like doing their thing, and like they're having fun and everything. But then there's like a song. There's only like 2 songs I know the words to in Albanian, but one of them is called Kukat Tirana, right? And it's like if like Philadelphia had a song, right? That was like, this is the song. If you're from Philadelphia, this is like your song.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Rocky music would be, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
up there, like this is like our fucking jam.
In West
like,
Philadelphia, born and
well, like,
raised.
do you remember how Meek Mill's song went during when we made a Super Bowl run in 17? That was like the Philadelphia song, So it was kind of like that, right? But it means like I'm from Tirana, and Tirana is the capital of Albania, and it's also their biggest city, right? So if like you're from there, you're like, yeah, it's like I'm a New Yorker almost, right? So like they're playing that song and I know the words, so I'm in like the middle of all these people and we're all singing this song like going nuts. It's pretty incredible, I'll say, but yeah.
That's awesome.
So enough about Albania. So
on the next episode of Albanian Americans.
All right. So Justin here, I want to get into his story. So Justin here, like we said before, he's the pride of North Wales, aka N-Dub. He was born and raised in the Dirty Dub, aka N-Dub, aka North Wales, aka North Kakalaki, aka Clacktown, aka Schwappy Town, aka Schwap Game, home of. So Justin here went to public school K through 12. He went to Montco for 1 semester and knew that he was too smart for that place. And he played some soccer growing up, a little footy football, some baseball, a little track. But I want to get into it. So I want to talk about this. So we've had a couple N-Dub guys on the show. You would have been the 4th N-Dub guest that we've had thus far. We've had Badass Brandon Hill, Schwap Game Steve Cabot, Sean fucking Day, and then now Justin J-Dub Richardson. Oh, you'd be the 5th, because we also had Thomas Young Tommy, the Dreamboat Tommy Romeo.
Yeah, see, Tommy was my age. All the other kids you listed off were all very intimidating.
Yeah, they were the old heads, right?
Yeah.
Dude, old heads were like, especially if it's like 1 or 2 years.
Dude,
like there's
like out of the 3 you just listed, like when I was a kid, like I think I was most afraid. Like Hill lived across the street from my best friend, and they always played football in his side yard. And as long as you were on Brandon's team, like he was the man, yeah. You didn't want to play against him ever. So
he's a tough motherfucker. We've told a couple stories about Brandon being a tough motherfucker. Go ahead.
Sean beat me up a couple times, and like it was whatever. Like it was mostly my fault. Like I was a mouthy kid, and he was just looking for anybody to test him.
Are you the one that called him Sean Gay?
No, I hit a Capri Sun straw into the back of his head, and he just turned around and he's like, "I'm gonna fuck you up." And I was like, yeah. And I told my neighbor about it, and he was a crossing guard, and he was like, "I'll walk you to school." I was like, "I don't need that. Like, don't do that." Sean may have killed the crossing guard as well. The second the crossing guard walked away, they like planted a football into my stomach and just picked me up and put me in a bush.
Oh boy. Dude, Sean Day
Like,
is
yeah.
he's since apologized for that, Justin. So there you go.
No, trust me, he made me a better person.
Yeah. Sean Day he's a tough son of a bitch. I will say that. Nice. So let's do this. Okay. So you went, like you said, you grew up in End-Up with those tough sons of bitches. You went to an elementary school. Now, on the Sean Day episode, he had talked about a teacher, Mr. Price. And Mr. Price was like I forget what age he said, but it was like maybe like third or fourth grade, something like that. And he had said that Mr. Price actually was like he was a male teacher that he had that was influential in a way because he told him like to join the wrestling team and like he would hang out with him after school because like all their dads worked. So he was like a male figure that was, you know, an authority figure, but wasn't oppressive or anything like that. And he was like, you know, there to help the kids and he did a good job and they all really liked him. Right. So did you growing up in St. America? I know we talked, you didn't know Mr. Price, but did you have a male, like, did you have a male teacher during elementary school?
Yeah, I had Mr. Armstrong in 5th grade, and he was the man.
Yeah.
And we had our gym teacher, Mr. Matt Singer, who was the best gym, the like stereotypical gym teacher you could imagine, but like
the best.
Two, yeah, the best. Yeah,
I had him
my hero until I was like 14. Yeah.
He eventually would transfer to the middle school that I went to.
He was the man. Yeah.
This is the funniest fucking story. So like in gym class, you know how you had to run the mile, right?
Yeah.
When you were, I think it was 9th grade, you had to run the mile. So there was this one kid in school that he would wear like those like the Jesus sandals that were like you would strap him over. Dude, I was like, I remember seeing him and be like, God, man, come on, bro. Like, why are you wearing those? You know, like he was wearing those kind of sandals and he wore them on gym day when we had to run the mile, right? So he's running the mile in like these sandals and he's like clop, clop, clop. And he's like, do I really have to run in these? Like, come on, clop, clop. And Mr. Matt Singer Mr. Matt Singer looks at him and he just goes, move it along, Moses. I lost it. I fucking lost it. I was so funny. That was so funny.
He loved lighting children up with the red dodgeball. We played dodgeball every gym class. And anytime I would get out, because he would, there's certain kids he knew he could like light up. Like I'd have the marks and like the welts. Like you could see the fill up nozzle like on my skin. How hard he would light us up with these things. And if I was out before he got to like light me up, he'd be like, "Who shot JR?" Dallas. And I didn't get the reference till I was like 5 years later. But anytime he'd see me sitting on the wall, I'd be like, "Who shot JR?"
That is the best because you're I bet he loved hitting you because you're a big mouth little kid, right? You were talking I
was lanky. I was hard to get out, So North Wales is purebred. I don't know if anybody's talked about this on the podcast. Yes, we are purebred dodgeball players.
Really?
One point in time when we were I was like 18, we go down to the lagoon randomly. I'm supposed to go to work. Tommy Romeo pulls up side of my house and goes, "Yo, there's a dodgeball tournament. Get in the car." And I'm like, "Where are you? I gotta go to Giant. I have work in 5 minutes." He's like, "Nah, get in the car. We're going to play dodgeball." I get in the car. We go down to the lagoon. It's for a charity.
What is the lagoon?
The lagoon down in Philadelphia. On the deck they have back there, they had a dodgeball tournament that day.
Okay.
64 teams. 2 of them, well, 3 technically, being of full North Wales teams. The North Wales kids I hung out with made of 2 teams of 8. And then this like other side of North Wales kids were there too. The finals and the 64 team ended up being the North Wales Warriors versus the North Wales Wildcats. We ate these people alive. The family who the charity was for cheated in one of our matches. Like one of the guys got pegged and like wouldn't go out, and we like made a fuss about it. We're like, we don't even win anything. Like you're cheating. Like
you're just cheating for the sake of cheating.
Yeah.
It was wild. But like we were all just sitting there. I was like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah. And like, who was all there? It was like Stubbins and Romeo.
Stubbins was there. Romeo was there. Like a bunch of like the type of kids that literally rolled. Like I was supposed to go to work. I didn't go to work for that. Like we all just rolled out of bed and just dominated old men and dodgeball. Like I don't know who heard about this tournament.
Was this back to like when the movie had just come out, Dodgeball? So like there was the dodgeball craze going on, or is this pre that movie?
It was for a charity event for a kid who had cancer. And that's, I guess somebody heard it on the radio and was like, we're going to this thing. And
they signed you guys up, and
a bunch of us just showed up, and you paid at the door, and you put your team on the bracket, and we just dominated.
Really? Did
Did
you guys win or did you lose?
My team won the tournament. The Wildcats beat the Warriors.
Yeah.
And, so headshots were illegal. So if you got hit in the head, you weren't out, but you still got.
I'm surprised you guys didn't get DQ'd.
No, so it wasn't a DQ either. Just they wouldn't count.
Oh yeah.
So like the teams that weren't great, because like I mean, you remember playing football with them, like I don't know if I can mention the Trombowers on there, like Bo can throw 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
He's a pitcher. Like we're gunning these things with these kids, and they're just
John Trombauer had a good arm too.
A cannon, yo.
Yeah.
Like this one kid, I remember being like, he was like the last one in, and like if you got hit in the head, you weren't out, but like he got hit in the head like 6 times at the end of the match, yo, and he just like dropped the ball and walked off the court.
Yeah,
like just couldn't take the punishment. Like nobody was hitting him in the body, just headshot.
Jesus.
He cracks up into a ball. He's like, just go for the body, please.
Yeah. That's what Mr. Matzinger just bred a bunch of dodgeball animals.
Good. Dodgeball was the best game going. I remember we would play at the Boys and Girls Club. Like we'd have it was like the full basketball court, right?
Yeah.
And it was like both sides of it are packed. So eventually, like the whole like all the wall like around the gym, like by the time you get to the end, we're like lined with people.
Yeah, everybody's sitting there watching.
Yeah. Dude, great stuff. Awesome. So, okay. So yeah, that's what happened. Like I went to Catholic school, didn't have any male teachers. So, come on, Catholic school. Fucking get some men in there. Yeah. So no, but it's good. Like young men need a positive male influence, and young women need it too, So I bet too back in the day, like especially like the young teachers, they just fucking had to pick the litter of all the good looking teachers at school, right? And the lunch ladies, must have been the best. Now it's like, forget it. So, okay, let's keep it moving. So you were a kid, you played soccer and you played football, basketball, and track. So talk about soccer. You played that for a little bit. How'd you like soccer?
I like soccer. Soccer's fun. It's a good sport to get your like footwork together and stuff. I played it for a while just because I don't know. That's actually how my mom and my stepdad ended up meeting each other. And me and my stepbrother played against each other. And my stepdad gave my mom her phone number or his phone number.
Oh,
yeah. Without soccer. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, it looks like someone won that match. Heyo.
Yeah, like some of the worst concussions I got from soccer, like trying to head the ball, heading other people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I scored 3 goals against the U15 team when I was in U13.
Oh shit!
Under the first game we ever played under the lights, I scored 3 goals.
Oh, dude, wasn't there anything? I remember soccer under the lights and baseball under the lights. I remember like as a younger kid, like in the little league and like the younger youth programs, I was like, God, I can't wait till we can play under the lights, And then eventually you play under the lights and you're like, this is the fucking best. You know what I mean? There's nothing better than playing under the lights. You're like, this is incredible. Why have we been doing this the whole time? Yeah. Loved under the lights. So then, okay, so let's keep it moving. So you did some soccer and then some footy football, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. You played, so you started when you were like 10 and then you played till you were in high school. So how'd you like footy football? What position did you play? How'd you do?
So I was a little heavy when I was a kid. So like 5th grade, I play, like all my friends are in 90, but I'm in 105. And I'm
Right.
I know that
Romeo's.
feeling.
Same.
So
we all do, guys. We
went down the shore. So I missed the first week. This is the first time I've ever played tackle football. I missed the first week. So there's no hitting the first week.
Yeah.
Second week, you show up, put pads on, you start hitting drills.
Yeah.
I show up that day. Romeo's older brother's on the team, and he knows me.
Lord.
Oh boy.
And I've never. This is like I'm just enjoying like putting on shoulder pads for the first time. Putting a
You're like,
helmet on.
all right, whoa,
I feel cool.
Yeah.
I see myself in line. We're doing one person has the ball, one person doesn't.
Yeah.
Meet each other in between the pylons.
Yeah.
See how
The
it
old
goes,
Oklahoma drill, I believe it's called, right?
I'm
Or
cool,
something
I'm in
along
it.
those lines.
I like figure out who I'm up against. I'm like, all right, I could see that, boy. I could do this. I'm watching how it goes down. I see Tom's brother make eye contact with me and then move himself in line. So now he goes against me.
He's done the math himself, and he's like, "Wait a minute."
He's like,
watch
I
this.
know what I'm doing.
Watch this. I seen you. Watch this. So I have the ball. He's gonna tackle me. I give him my best, Like I have older brothers.
Sure.
No, I don't have older brothers at this point. I am the oldest of my family at this point. I don't have older brothers yet.
Right.
I've
You
been
rule the
like-
roost. Yeah.
I've been
you
in
rule
like
the roost.
maybe one fight and it went terribly.
Right.
But he hit my little brother.
Sure.
That kid's hands were very fast. So
Right.
I go into the pile as hard as I can. He picks me up, slams me, knocks the wind out of me. I cry a little bit.
Of course. Getting the wind knocked out of you as a kid fucking sucked. Let's all talk.
Fryling's dad is like, "You all right?" Like smacks me, tells me to get back in line. I get back in line. I pull my composure back together. I'm like, "All right, I got this." The lines aren't even, so I'm going again, and I watched Romeo again look at himself in line and line himself up with me, and I get up to the front. And the other coach was Coach Blue. He looks at me, he goes, "You don't have to do this, right?" And I was like, "I'll do it. It's fine."
Like, no, I have to.
Yeah, I'll do it. It's
even the coaches knew
So
that Romeo was.
they knew.
He saw what he just. This is my first day of practice. I just came on. He's like, "Oh, you're the kid who couldn't be here the first week," which I didn't know was a no. We were going to the shore. It's the first time I've ever played. I've never had shoulder pads on.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You don't have to do this, right?" And I'm like, I kind of have to. I'll see him again shortly.
Yeah.
He has the ball. I run at him. He picks me up and slams me to the ground.
While holding the ball.
Yup. And trots off, all husky looking like RoboCop.
Yeah. Has he always been just the jack dude? So wait, you had Zach.
Even in fifth grade, he had the bench press in his bedroom.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, he was a monster. He was never not a monster.
So wait, you had Zach and Jay Romeo on the same football team?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, dude. So we've talked about him before, and Pete actually credited Mr. Freiling for helping him, stay with wrestling, and he thought he
instilled the love of the sport in me.
Yeah.
I can still hear his rings hitting against my helmet.
Yeah, he was a really good dude, but dude, his son Zach was a stud at every sport. So you had both of them on the same team. So you guys must have been pretty freaking tough.
Yeah, we were a good team.
Yeah.
And I for the first, until I started playing Madden, had no idea what was going on. I remember playing Madden the first time and being like, "Oh, this is what my position is supposed to do." I was like,
yeah. I thought I was the quarterback.
I was like, I just run after the guy with the ball. I'm like, "You're supposed to drop." That's what they mean when they drop back. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who was the quarterback on your guys' team?
It was one of the Mengals. I want to say.
Oh, Daryl?
Yeah. It might have been Daryl. I don't think it was Drew because Drew was younger than me.
Yeah, no, it was definitely Daryl. If it was, all right. Yeah. Shout out, fan of the show, listener of the show, Daryl Mangle, big fan. Nice, awesome, man. So cool. All right.
That was fun as shit.
What position did you play?
Back then, I think I played tight end, D end.
Nice.
I think they probably put me on offensive line at first.
Yeah. We all played the line, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know that. We were all in the trenches. So nice. Okay. So and then you played up till you were 17. Why did you
I played up till 11th grade, and then the year I stopped playing, they won the state championship.
That's how it goes, pal.
But North Penn took it so serious, yo.
Yeah.
And by then I was like, yo, weed is tight, yo. I don't know. I was like, I think I'll be doing just fine now waking up at 6 and getting yelled at by that big head.
Yeah. I mean, it is one of those things where it's there are some guys you got to take it serious because you're
I wasn't
banking
going
your
to college.
future on yeah.
I just wanted to middle school football was so much fun, and then the North Penn, they just took it so serious. You couldn't play any other sports if you played football for North Penn.
Didn't they give you that ultimatum, Pete?
Not really, no. But you just kind of know it. You know what I mean? When you're you get bumped back because you're going to a wrestling camp or you're going I understand at the end of the day, there are other kids there that are taking it more seriously than I am. You know what I mean? You have other sports, you have other commitments. You can't do the time that they want. So it's a business decision.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. So nice. Okay. So you left football and then you did some basketball from 9 to 13 and you did a little track. How'd you like track?
Track was fun. I like track. I ran the 800. I did the high jump. 800's 2 laps, if you don't know.
Oh, I know.
High jump. But see, there was one kid, my best friend growing up, he was better than me at every event. So then when he would go to the Penn relays,
Who was this?
Danny Jakes.
Okay.
Back in
Yeah.
the day, yeah,
I don't know.
he would beat me in the Victor Jake's his little brother.
I don't know either.
Victor.
No.
Yeah, he would beat me in the high jump. He'd beat me in the 800, and then he'd go to like because they would read off the announcements like who got first, second, and third of the track events, and then Danny would go to like pen relays, and then I would win all those events.
Yeah.
I would do shot because track and field too is cool because you just show up and you tell them what events you want to do. Like you train throughout the weekend. You're like, I want to do shot put, high jump, triple jump, and I'm gonna run the 800.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. Shot put was fun.
I love.
I don't think I ever won the shot put.
Neither did I. I always would get disqualified too. It was tough. I like shot put though. Dude, I wish though, like I know you really can't do it with kids, but even in high school they didn't really have it. Like javelin and hammer throw. I would fucking
javelin would have been cool.
I would
have tried high jump if they had it.
Dude, did you not see? Did you
pole vault
too? I
would have tried.
They didn't have any of that.
No,
you know,
they didn't.
Dude, what about hammer throw? Have you not seen hammer throw in the Olympics?
Insane.
It is.
Hey, it's beastly.
Man,
I get dizzy now. I used to when I was a kid. I could ride the gravitron. I could ride the gravitron for 45 minutes straight and be fine.
Were you the kid that would hang from the railing or
I could stand? Yeah, I could stand in the gravitron. And then like one day when I was like, I don't know, 15, I like went on like that teacup ride where the whole ride spins and then you can spin the ride inside.
Make you go faster.
And my uncle was whipping that one like as fast as possible. And when I got off, I threw up. And ever since then, I get motion sickness. Like I never had it before that.
Really?
Yeah, like if I go to Donkey Park, like I can ride like 2 roller coasters and I feel like shit.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame.
They took it from me.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he took. You need to go fuck that uncle up now. He's older. He can't fight back.
Yeah, you need to take. You need to knock some.
Remember when you made me dizzy at the pier?
Remember the T-Cop 99, bitch?
Yeah. You remember the merry-go-round, you mother?
You know what it's like to throw up to Billy Idol's Moni Moni? It's a nightmare.
Unless he just hits people right on the spot. Moni Moni.
Thrown up on a pier in New Jersey, but Billy Idol singing his heart out.
Man. So so I'll tell you this. Now when we go down to the shore, I go to LBI and there's like this area. It's called Fantasy Island, but it has it's like a bunch of little rides for kids and like the carnival game gimmick and an arcade and stuff. And it's nice. And I'll take my daughter there and she just started riding some of the rides, but she can only ride like the real little kid ride. So one of them, like she loves the merry-go-round, you know, because she loves like being on the horse. And then there's another one where it's like you get in like a B and you go like up and down and around. And I'm not gonna lie, dude, there's been a couple of times where on that I'm like, this ride needs to fucking end now. I'm like, this is no good for old Uncle Matty, you know. But it's also because like the rides are made for kids, but I have to ride the ride with her. So there's like there's this one video like they have a kid size Ferris wheel, right? And literally like I'm the size of the cage that you're in and she's sitting on the other side and you just see the cage like tilted like my
Matt has his legs on the floor and he's just standing up as it gets to the top and sitting back down.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's like I could barely fit through like the window. I'm like, oh my god. But yeah.
You see some of those fair rides now and you look at them, you're like, I'm not getting on the swings here in Lower Gwynedd. Fly off those rusty chains. I was like, that guy's asleep who's operating this.
I know.
Well, that is the crazy thing is that I am putting my life in the hands of like some teenager who's like does not want to be there.
His whole diet is just funnel cake.
Yeah, funnel cake and root beer. And this is he's like yeah, and they're controlling like a 10,000-pound machine that's whipping people in a circle.
I actually trust the teens that are on those rides more than the adults because I'm like, well, he's just trying to earn some money. I'm like, what the fuck has this guy been doing? This is what he's doing. You know?
Yeah, he's like, look, I'm getting my meth after this, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that guy's like in between like binges. Like I'm like, oh, hopefully he stays awake.
Yeah, dude, fuck, you ain't kidding. There's one ride there though that it's these cars that just go in a circle. They literally like do nothing. It's these little kid cars, but they have a horn on them, right? So if you go in there and you point out the horn, I feel so bad for the kid that has to run that ride because the whole time the kids are like, you know, like going nuts. It's adorable once, but she like they're there. Imagine that for 8 hours.
Do you remember Dutch Wonderland? Didn't you go to Dutch Wonderland as kids?
No,
It was like out
no.
in
As a real little
Lancaster.
kid, I did.
It was a miniature like Donny Park. Like it was all really small rides
Yeah.
for kids, but a whole
Yeah.
park of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to
Did
go
you-
there as children.
Oh, nice. Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that
is
explains
it
why I don't
still around?
remember because it was like so long ago. I'm like, yeah, I remember that being like
It
a
was
little
so
kid
long,
though, like
yeah.
in the stroller little.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I'm excited. I've never been to like Disney World yet, so
No.
I'm excited to take my daughter there, hopefully.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
all right, let's keep it moving. So let's get into some job history. So I think we all had the pleasure of working at a young age, right?
Yeah.
Like, and in a real job. My first job, I was 12. You were 10, Justin, and Pete. You were like in the womb because your parents owned a deli, so you were
I was
there.
in 8th grade, whatever age you are in 8th grade.
So you're like 12. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
but
9th
yeah,
grade. Yeah, I don't know. I remember I was at Pembroke when I started working.
yeah. So you're like 12 or 13 then when
Yeah.
you started.
Yeah, I was in like 6th grade, whatever. It's what I think you're. How old are you in 6th grade?
10 or 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I love this. So you would work at a bakery, but why would you have to work at the bakery, Justin?
So the baker was only punishment. Like if you really act up, my neighbor. So I lived in a twin. The other half of the twin, my neighbor, he owns the Hearth Bakery in Lansdale, and he would, as punishment, you'd be like, you gotta go work with Fran if you keep acting up, which meant you had to be. So every once in a while in the summer, you act up, you gotta go work with Fran. So you have to be sitting. Well, I don't think you were actually supposed to sit on his car, but I would because I was an asshole kid. So you had to be sitting on his car by 4:30. And then
In the morning, in the
morning.
summer. In the summer.
when you have off from school, you gotta go out. You gotta sit on the green. He had a green Dodge Dart. You gotta sit on the Dart.
Love
And it's
this
like
guy.
if you weren't sitting on the because he would just leave. Like he wasn't like coming and knocking the door and be like, "Hey, is Justin coming to work today?" Because my
Yeah.
mom would just be like, "You gotta take him," And then so he would leave. Like if you had to go back in the house and tell my mom like I missed the ride to the bakery, that would be way worse. And I never missed it. And I only
Yeah.
had to go like the one summer she came up with this idea. And I think Fran was like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing child labor anymore for you. But so
He's like, they come
4:30 in the
asking
morning.
questions.
yeah, I'm a kid. 4:30 in the morning, you got to go in a bakery. It's never been in a giant bakery. It's a giant oven, so it's 300 degrees in there all day. It's the summer, and I worked with these two large women, and they would. So like, if you complain, they'd be like, "You're a bitch, you're a pussy." Like they were very foul mouthed and lovely. I love them, but dearly. But like they were just like you couldn't be a bitch because they'd be like,
What's
"No."
up, needle dick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Oh, are you sweaty? You're like, yeah. Do you want to go home? Like, yes.
Yeah, you're like, well, wait till you get your first hot flash of menopause, bitch. Then hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there
Do I
that's
get paid? Yeah, you didn't get paid for that.
And you
Like,
didn't get
that was
paid
your
either.
punishment. That was it. Like, and then you got dropped back off at like 2:00.
oh, that's fucking great. I love that.
That was
So
the first job I ever went to.
that is great fucking
Oh, wait, they did pay
parenting.
you or they didn't pay you?
No, they didn't pay you. No, that was your punishment. Yeah.
So then so I'll tell you, that is great fucking parenting. Shout out to your parents for that. Then after you worked at the bakery, you worked as like a maintenance guy and like a landscape, took care of like
Yeah.
the grounds at an office building. So what was that like?
That place was cool. So we just took care of the grounds, like did the landscaping, but it was like big, it was empty. And then the last day, so I show up one day for work, and it's some Eastern European people who work there. And I walk in the building, and he goes, "Today is last day." I go, "Huh?" He goes, "Today is last day. You take anything you want. You want the vending machine? Take it." And I'm like, so we took everything, all the desk chairs, like the computer room in my house, all that furnished by this place.
Was this guy like putting in like an insurance claim? Like he was just like, "Here you go. I filed an insurance claim tomorrow.
there
You
was
take
a thing
today."
going on there that he was like, "Today is last day. You take anything you want."
I love that though. That's the best.
It was
So
awesome. We're like,
nice.
yeah.
So and like you were just doing like basic maintenance stuff there, like
Yeah, that was just basic, like pulling the
cleaning.
weeds, like just going around maintaining the building, and then like we'd like get lunch and you could like eat inside.
That's awesome.
How'd you get the job?
It was like through like a family member like knew the guy who needed a property manager, and then that property manager was like, "Can you landscape here?" And he was like, "I know two dumb kids who will do it for like $10 an hour."
Less than that,
Nice.
probably.
Now we
Yeah.
actually made all right money there because it was always cash.
Yeah,
Hey.
$10 an hour back then was.
Oh, you're
was
living
pretty
in
nice.
it,
Yeah,
brother.
exactly. Yeah, what was
Living in
minimum
it.
wage back then? $5.25. So yeah,
Dude,
you were
yeah.
doing well.
Yeah.
Box Dad paid us $4.75 an hour when we worked
Yeah.
for him. and he
My
fucking
dad paid me
drove us.
$5.25 an hour.
Yeah, nice. So, all right, let's keep it going. So then after you left there on last day, right, you
Yeah.
worked at a machine shop. So what was this like? It was an assembly line job, right? So what was going on here?
Yeah, so my father works at a machine shop in Fort Washington. My grandfather worked there. My father's worked there his whole life. And so like he did as a kid, like he, my grandfather would bring my father in the summers and have him work there. And, so my dad would do the same thing, like pick me up early in the morning, we'd work, and then he'd just drop me off on his way home. And then it was assembly, like not assembly line, it was single main assembly line. So I had 2 buckets. You take part A, you put it in the machine. You take part B, you put that in the machine. You press the lever, it makes one piece, and then you take the piece out and you put it in the bucket. You take part A, you put it in the machine. You take part B, you put it in the machine. You press the lever, take it out, you put it in the bucket.
You couldn't put A and B in at the same time?
Like you couldn't mess it up. Like, you know what I mean? They're in 2 buckets, but yeah, you had to stick one in here, stick one in here, press the lever, connect them. And that was the whole job, right? And then
how many hours you're doing that? Like 8
hours.
shift? Oh,
yeah, it's like the first time I ever tried coffee. Like
oh,
also other than my dad and like 2 other white guys, it was all Vietnamese people. And like I don't know if you know the diets of Vietnamese people, but it's wild, yo. Like I've seen some wild shit being eaten in that lunchroom, like pigeon eggs, like that like half embryo kind of egg where like the chickens kind of have developed.
I think it's a delicacy over there. Like,
Yeah,
they like look for that egg. Like you're like, that's the lucky egg. Oh shit, this guy's eating today.
Smelled crazy in there. You could smoke in that building back then. Like you could smoke at work. So they'd be ripping cigs, yelling in Vietnamese, making
They're pitching pennies against the wall in the back, gambling, all sorts of weird shit.
Oh,
making wild smells coming out of the lunchroom. And then like the couple like other people who worked there, like they would just tell me, because my dad had worked there his whole life. And my dad at this point in time in his life had turned around from the man he used to be. My dad was a different person. Now he was born again. He's religious. And so
is he still that way?
He is still now, yeah.
Good for him.
But the man he used to be, I would get the stories about him from the people who used to work with him. Like
from the Vietnamese?
No, there was like one Vietnamese guy and like a couple like white guys in the shipping building who were like, I know your old man. Like that was kind of stories. Like they'd see me outside, like
you should have seen your old man when he was your age.
Yeah, like those kind of stories. Like he used to hide up there all day. Like shit like that. It's funny.
Yeah,
that's where I banged Jenny McKee in the closet.
The machine job wasn't bad, yeah. Like you smelled like oil when you left, and like my dad would show me what he did, and his shit like was very like number based. Like he ran the CNC machines, which would like drill out and create like all kinds of shapes.
Okay, like customization kind of drilling.
Yeah, they did like bearings and small parts that you'd find in like industrial equipment.
So his was like a legit skill that was
his
learned.
job was cool. Like so, I would work like half the day. Like he would have a work order. I need 100 pieces for that small part thing I do. So once I knocked out 100, I was kind of free to do whatever I wanted. And normally that'd be like hang out with him, and he would show me what he was doing.
I was like, hey, stay here in case somebody else orders another 100 of these things.
Yeah, like it wasn't overly demanding.
Right.
And I basically was half because I was like, I don't know, 14, 15, and they didn't want me being home all summer doing nothing, you know?
Right.
Yep.
They didn't want you home at all.
Yeah,
ever.
exactly. They never be up to something.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was never freaking home as a kid. Hated
but then then I started working at Papa John's. After that, like 15, I started working at Papa John's because me and Romeo worked there, and he got fired because he wasn't old enough.
So what you're referencing is for the listeners of the show, which include Tom Hanks and Robert De Niro and Derek Jeter, all fans of the show, listeners of the show. From what Justin's referencing, he's referencing a story that was told by Tommy Romeo on the Tommy Romeo episode, which you can find on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. And Tommy told a story of where he got a job. Justin had gotten him a job at Papa John's. And when he was there, Tommy's working there and doing everything normal. And then one day, 3 months in, they fire him. And it's because they didn't read his application right. And he was, 15 or something?
We both applied. And I was, May. We're both, our birthdays are a day apart and a year. Yeah. So we both applied. They probably looked at mine like, oh, he's 15. They're like, oh, he's 15. And then the manager like came one day, like the guy who like runs the stores, and was like, yeah, like we need more people, but you can't hire anyone under 15 or something. And Tommy's like, I'm 14. He was like, you can't work here.
So he ratted
Well, you're
himself
fired
out.
then.
I think so. And then so I got hired and fired I worked there, got fired, worked there, got fired, worked there, got fired. I got hired and fired by 3 different managers because it was within walking distance of my house.
Why
So
would you get fired?
Oh, like the one time, I mean, for all kinds, just like no shows, like, you know what I mean? Like something better happened. You're like, I'm not coming.
Like a dodgeball. Yeah.
Dodgeball tournament. The one manager was cool, but just had enough of me. Like, I just like, but like the first time I ever did cocaine was in that job. The one manager, he was like a nerdy dude, yo. And I always liked myself as somebody who could if you need something, I could find it for you. And I never tried cocaine before. But he was like an older, dorky kind of kid who ran the store.
How old was he?
He was probably I don't know. See, in my mind, he was 30 to me, but he was probably if I was 15, he might have been 19. You know?
Yeah, but still, a 19-year-old asking a 15-year-old to get him.
Because he was kind of dorky. He was a little heavy. So he had a bowl where if you kept it in the freezer, it would the water inside the bowl would get hard and you could smoke weed out of it. Yeah. So he had that. That's where I found out he was smoking. He did drugs because I found it in the walk-in one day, the bag where you keep potting. I found it, started hitting it. I was like, oh, what's up, bull? I know you do. And he was like, wow, do you know where to get any cocaine? And I was like, I think so. So I got it for him, and he was like, you want some? And I was like, I'd never done cocaine before, but I remember those, it goes back to that story I remember the people in the machine shop telling me stories about how my old man used to do coke. And I was like, well, my dad used to.
Did you bite off the Vietnamese? Is that how you got it for this guy?
No, I found it within the lustrous borough of North Wales.
Right.
And
which you can find anything, apparently.
Yeah, you can find it. And I remember doing coke at the pizza shop and being like, this is crazy.
Yeah. This is normally safe for N-Dub Pub, not the pizza shop.
God, and I remember growing up and be like, who's letting children do cocaine in a pizza shop? Yeah. And they fired me.
Other children are. He's still that guy's a child too.
The one time.
Well, it's and your parents made you work all this time because the thing is keeping you out of trouble, and little did they know.
Work got me into more trouble than anything because that's where I would meet other people.
You're in trouble too. How could we be in trouble together?
Every job I find one person who I'm like, me and this kid can't hang out. And we immediately become best friends.
Nice. So you got hired and fired from Papa Jake's 3 times, right? And then
that job was fun. Can
you talk about why you got fired the one time? Didn't you have a scam there, or do you not want to talk about that?
We used to have a scheme where I would run the register. So if you came in and we're gonna pay cash, I noticed you were gonna pay cash, I would quick cancel your order and the system, and then take your money, give you the correct change, which then you had to do off the top of your head because you no longer had the computer screen in front of you.
Right.
So if your pizza was $12.78 and you handed me a 20 and I canceled the order, the till would still be correct.
Yeah.
And I could just give you your pizza and I could keep
which would be $7.22.
Yeah. But I'd be a little stoned in there and I'd be like, you get $12.48 back, $78 back. I'd fuck it up for a second. But that was my little scheme.
Man, nice. Hey, man, that's
awesome.
What you got to do. So
you walk out with an extra $36 on Friday when you're 15.
Hell yeah! when you need to go buy some cocaine, that's the perfect way to do it. No,
wait. What do you mean now? A word from our sponsor.
Are you someone who struggles picking a podcast to listen to because your time is extremely valuable?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Are you someone who says, "Damn, there's not enough hours in the day to pick just one"?
Mm-hmm. Wait, what the fuck?
Or are you someone who's interested in a podcast where they interview a wide range of people and find out how the hell they ended up in their profession?
It's like you read my mind.
If I say yes to, can you help me out?
Oh, shit!
On an unrelated note, while we call the police, if you said yes to all those questions, then look no further and allow me to introduce you to the Working Perspectives podcast, hosted by executive producer Matt Lavelle and accompanied by co-host Party Boy Pete McCormick. As mentioned, they interview a wide range of people and find out how in the purple nurple fuck they ended up in their
No, I didn't
professions, which I
fucking
think,
run
in
a
my
red
opinion,
light.
as someone who previously job
I
hopped
don't
from
know,
one
man.
place to another
was
until I
just
found
about to
something I'm
drive over
good
to
at,
destination,
this is
and then
something
all of
worth
a sudden
investing
this
your
random
time
voice
in.
comes up in my
You will
car,
learn
starts
about jobs that
talking
you
about
never knew
this
existed.
informative
Feel the
podcast.
grind that
I
some of these
said it
people
sounded
felt before
interesting,
getting
and
to where they are
fucking
today.
says the same
And just
thing.
like me, it'll maybe
And now
help you
they're
find that
calling them up.
motivation you're looking for to pursue and what it is you want to do.
No.
And also,
No, no one
they have
was
great
following
segments
me.
in the
I'm
middle
in
of
the
the show,
middle of
such as
fucking
The Weekend
desert,
Poppin'. Give it a shot.
We gotta
And
go
my
to
two
Plan B, man.
favorites,
We gotta
Memory
go to Plan
Lane
B.
and What's Going Down in Gamertown, which
Wait,
is a segment
you're
I'm
what?
part of, so you should definitely
You're
look
out?
into it.
No,
So,
you can't
that
fucking
being
do this
said,
to me.
after
Why-
this
why are you
video, go
fucking
out and
bailing
listen
out?
to the Working Perspectives podcast. You can find them
Because
on
I
Apple
fucked up?
Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube,
Well,
Google
what are you gonna do,
Podcasts,
man?
TikTok, Instagram, and
The
Twitter.
bootleg
All links
business,
are in the
the
link
bootleg
tree, which
movies?
is in the
Bro,
description.
There's a fucking
And now,
pandemic happening
back
right
to the
now. Once the
episode.
movie's in theaters, it's gonna go onto the streaming services.
So let's keep it moving then. So, all right. So then after you got done at Papa Janoski's, you went to Giant, right?
Yeah, my one brother started working at Giant, and I had gotten fired from Papa John's for the last time, so I was like, I need a job because I had to. If you
And
wanted a
you-
cell phone, you had to have
Yeah.
a job in my
Yeah.
family. Like nobody was
Same.
paying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And you did not like Giant, is that right?
I was a cashier, and I hated it. Yo.
Really?
Every like review they would give me, they'd be like, "You need to smile and talk to the employee, like the customers more." And I'm like, "No, man. Like white, like before that job, like I was fine with most people in society and really didn't think like people were that bad. You know, white people are the fucking worst. The worst. Like anytime I had black customers come through, they were cool. Like
Were you
they
saying
were
like
nice.
that white people are just a bunch of Karens or like whiskey
Dude,
tangos?
so many. So one time, I'm scanning the things and the lady's coupon doesn't work. And it's a 10 cent off coupon for like $3.09 spray. And I'm like, it's already in the, like, I already bagged it. It's already in your cart. Like, I don't want to get it out. Like, I literally pull a dime out and slap it on the thing, like by the credit card reader. And she's like, where's like snaps? Like that's
Where's your
over the line
manager?
for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's the dime. Like that's the dime you saved from the coupon. Here it is. Comes into my pocket.
Yeah.
She didn't like that. This other time I had this guy who's just being a fucking jerk off, yo.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got into it, yo, but it got into that like real happy, like, you have a good day, buddy. And he's like, yeah, you too. And I was like, thanks, I will. And he's like, you know what? Like, where's your manager? And I was like, over there. His name's Dale. He'd love to talk to you. Dale, yo, this gentleman would like this, like went above and beyond. Like this gentleman, like this. And so that whole thing goes down. I have to retake 11th grade English because I didn't like my 11th grade English teacher. And I knew I had enough credits so I would just retake it again, 12th grade. I like stopped going to the class, like told my principal, I was like, I'm not going. I hate her. I'm not going. So I'm retaking 11th grade English in 12th grade. My English teacher's cool as shit. She's in the beginning of Dead Poet Society. She's an extra.
Right.
Castle. I fucking loved her to death. And so one day I worked.
What was her name?
Mrs. Castle. She had red hair, was kind of short. She was the shit, yo. She called me behind her desk. She's like correcting me about some shit. And I look at her photo and I go, is that your husband? And she goes, yeah. I go, he's a fucking jerk off, yo. And she goes, do you work at Giant? And I go, yup. And she goes, she literally looks at me like, covers her mouth like, get the fuck out of here. It's you're the fucking jerk off cashier. I was like, I like told her the whole story. I was like, he started like I was being fine. Like, and I gave her the whole story and she died laughing. She was like, of course you were that fucking kid he came home with.
Wait,
And
so
I
you
swear to
pissed
God-
off her husband so much that he came
So
home
much.
and said like this fucking bastard at
Dude,
Giant.
I don't even understand. Like I've never had a problem with a cashier. Like, so you know,
What did
true
you
folks,
even
like,
say?
never once,
I
like you
don't
just
remember
they
how it
scan and then I
started.
just give them money and then that's it. Like,
Usually they just say hi and I'm like, you don't even have to say that, kid. Just fucking here we go.
Yeah, and like I was just kind of straight. I would get the one kid who worked in like the milk department had this big conversion van and always had weed, and you could always get real high in the conversion van. So probably half the time I was just kind of really high and didn't want people to know I was high, so I wouldn't start being talkative because then you could be stoned and you start talking about dumb shit with people. They're like, oh, you know, they put sharks in this, and they're like, so you know, I don't know. I felt
all right, good for you. Maybe you seemed disinterested in one of his like strange facts, and he was like, all right, this.
Or I like handed him the receipt, and he was like, thank you, and I was probably like, you're welcome, and like that just started it all. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes that automatic response you can't control. You're like,
what do you want? Like, you want a prize for coming through today? Let's go. Buddy. Out of the grocery store.
Keep it moving. There's a line, Bob.
My favorite story of that is I'm working the cashier. This lady's kid is at the end. We're like, where are you back? And he's standing in a triangle, very wide base, yo. My young bull has the widest base. And I'm watching him and he goes, uh-oh. And I look at him, the mom looks at me like, uh-oh. And he starts reaching down into the cuff of his sweatpants. And she goes, Jacob, no. And he straight pulls a turd out, yo, and puts it above his head. Like, so proud of it, yo.
He's like, look at this one, Mom. That's from all the fiber.
This wide stance for a minute. We're all looking at him like, what's with the wide stance? And he just goes, uh-oh, and just starts digging it out. I was like, yes.
Wait, so he dropped some heat, and then he goes to like the bottom of like his ankle.
Cuffed sweatpants, so he's got to like. And we all know.
So he knew he's like, the sweatpants are gonna catch this one, Mom. Yeah.
Like, I know it's a turd, but until I see the turd, I don't really know. I'm like, uh-oh.
The kid like, was he like making eye contact with you before that? Just like, watch me while I do this.
He was just standing. So he was standing so wide and like in the middle of the lane too. Like he was by like where you bag your ass, but I could see his whole body because he was 3 feet tall. He was far enough away that I could see all of them. I could see his shoes, yo. I could still see the Velcro on his shoes.
Oh God.
And it was solid, yo. He pulled out a rock, yo.
How old was this kid?
He had to be 3, 4. I don't know. He was this big.
Oh, that's the best. Good for
so proud of it.
Don't do it. Like you like. Well, she knew that this happened before.
Like the mom knew what it was. Like, Jacob, do not. And he was like, oh, watch this.
He's like, you took me to the grocery store on the wrong day, baby. You know this is what I do.
Oh man.
I would love it if that was just like his move. Like, you know what, Mom? I wanted that toy, but now you're gonna get my toy.
Justin, your manager, is he the guy that like left his wife for the high school chick?
He was real tall and he had like a mustache. He was really tall, yo. Because like I was 6 foot at that point. Like,
what is this?
But you would remember this. You would remember this if it was like there was a manager there. I don't know if he was the general manager or what, but like he started like he left his wife and like started dating a chick that we went to high school with. She was in my grade, so she was a year above you, like some blonde chick.
And he left his wife. Well, no.
So I you know, I know about this from like so like I don't know if you guys know Dave Rule, but like he worked at Giant like in high school.
Yo,
yeah,
he was the man.
Yeah, Dave Rule, he was like a nut, right?
Dude, that's a legendary nut right there. Buddy.
Yeah, one day we'll get into Dave Rule stories. That kid was crazy, but he lived in my development. And like he was telling me like, you know, like how like this chick that was riding our bus, you know, was dating this guy that was like the general manager of Giant. And then I worked at Giant the summer after my freshman year of college. So I remember I was working on, I think with like I worked at the deli back with like Tomatis was in seafood. And Chris Wertan was back there.
But wait, Justin, did you work at the Giant in North Wales?
Yeah, the one in Montgomeryville. Yeah.
Oh, so you worked at the one by the Target, not the one not the one at Sumneytown and whatchamacallit.
No, not that one. No.
Okay.
Yeah, you were there with like Brian Myers and Grimacin and like all those guys were there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, randomly they would throw food around at night.
Yeah. But yeah, like so then like all of a sudden like that summer I'm like working there one night at the deli, like closing it down, and I see that the manager walking hand in hand with that girl, and I'm like, holy shit, Dave was like not lying. He was telling the fucking truth. Like this actually happened. This chick started dating this guy in high school. Then like he left his wife for her as soon as she graduated.
Oh my God, was she good looking?
She was good looking enough.
Yeah.
I mean, like for like a 40-year-old, like a
yeah.
That place, so that job too. One last story about that place. So I didn't make any friends. The kid who had the conversion van smoked a lot of weed. Like he was cool. We weren't like friends, but like I got weed off him and we hung out in his van when we took break together. Sure. And then there was this old man there who was a butcher. And he was like, he looked like he used to be a biker years ago. I just called him Old Man John. And so I met this man when I'm 19. And I loved him. Like we're simpatico. Like we get along together.
Yeah. When you hit it off, you hit it off.
Yeah, we just kindred spirits, right? So I'll get to this job later, but I'll tell you the story now. So like 4 jobs later, 10 years later, I'm working at this warehouse in Norristown. I'm running the 3rd shift, and in walks Old Man John. Like he got hired the week before, and he just walks in, and I'm like, "The fuck are you doing here?" And he's like, "The fuck are you doing here?" And I'm like, he's like, I need a fucking job. Like, that's fucking, and I'm like, he's like, this is what you do now? Like, we haven't seen each other 19 to like 26 probably. And so we immediately hit it off again. Now I can drink and shit. So we start like, because he knew I was wild then. And so we hadn't
He's
seen
been
each other
waiting
in
for this
so
time.
long.
Like, now I can
Yeah,
go
he's
free.
like
I
a
can
biker
fucking
dude.
party.
We hung out like on like 29, like gravel pike, like that. He was like from that area. Like I don't know much about him, but like he's like that kind of dude, right?
Yeah.
Cool man, long hair, like had a vest and shit, rode a fucking badass bike. And so we're working there. The first weekend comes up and he's like, hey, you want to hang out with me tonight? And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. Right. We go like the gravel pike in on 29. He comes with me, he's like, you want to split a 200 gram of cocaine? And I'm like, what? And he's like, it's $200 a gram. And I'm like, that's a fucking, I mean, I don't know if you do. And again, this podcast is going to come off like I do coke a lot. I do not do cocaine very often. I swear to God.
or anymore.
Drugs find me. I don't find drugs. And so I'm like, fuck yeah. Like $200 gram. Like, I know he's not going to like rob me. So I'm like, I'm in, right? Give him my $100. He goes and gets it. And he dumps it onto a record, like a big old vinyl record. And
yeah.
At his house.
Oh, he's going like 70s style with it. He's like, here we go.
Yeah. We start, and it looks like, it doesn't look that impressive, right? It's like a small one. He starts breaking up, starts getting like bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where like it almost like stretches to like the length of the vinyl. So I tried this. I'm thinking we got burnt. Like I don't feel anything. I think it's nothing. And then I start touching my forehead, and I can't feel anything. I remember we did it, we hung out, we drank. I woke up the next morning, like felt perfectly fine. Like I felt good. And I was like, that's why, like, I'm like, the shitty, like if you get shitty cocaine, you feel shitty. If you do quality cocaine, I woke up and felt like perfectly fine.
Oh boy.
I was like, that was wild.
And was it like, did you like eventually you were like, whoa, baby?
Yeah, when it like at one point I was just like, holy shit, like I'm very, very high. But like all of that, it was just crazy. Like from that job at Giant, like because I only worked there for like 6 months, maybe a year. Yeah. And I met that old man butcher guy, and then like just got so the Giant job, I think I got in trouble for no showing and no calling to that dodgeball tournament, and they fired me the next time I came in. So I never knew what happened to him, and then 10 years later we run into each other again.
Yeah, look at that. Looks like it was meant to be. So okay, so let's keep it moving. So after you left Giant, you got a job at Atlas Cold Storage, and you were there for like 4 years. So what I want to know, what was your shift? What were you doing there? How did you like it? Like, this is prime partying age. Like, you turned 21 while you're working here. You would party at my house and then go to work here. I remember that. Like,
so because I got the job. So I'm like 19, just about 20, and I'm the only people who work there are 40 years old. Like, I'm the youngest kid by far. There's like one kid I ended up making friends with, and like I'm the godfather of his firstborn child.
Oh shit!
Nice.
But
that's my boy. But so I start working there, and it's 2 o'clock to 11 o'clock. It's second shift.
2 p.m. to 11 p.m. Okay.
So you get done work at 11 p.m.
And you start at 2.
And you start at 2 p.m. So a couple of my friends are down at Temple. I got some other friends who are still in the area, just hang out all night. So you get done at 11. I drive down to Matt's house in Manayunk. I drive down to Temple, stay up all night, party, go to bed, wake up, get back to Hatfield by 2 o'clock, and operate a forklift all day.
Yeah.
And like,
didn't you have a unique way of sobering up too?
So the job it's a cold storage facility. So the dock where you load the trucks up is 32 degrees. The freezer is -20.
Jeez.
You're operating forklifts. They're the stand-up boys, and you got to go get pallets from inside the freezer, bring them out to the dock to get loaded onto a truck, or vice versa. Things are getting dropped off from a truck and have to get put away in the freezer, And so you're in and out. So that like 32 to -20, 32 to -20 creates like condensation and like snow up around the rafters by the doors and shit, which I'll get to in a second. So you got to lift your forks up, and the racks go up 48 feet, which when I first started working there, I was deathly afraid of heights. Like, I didn't like going on roller coasters that much.
Yeah.
If you dump a pallet up in the 48-foot rack, you got to go climb up there and stack it back up. And when you're training, like they're 2 deep pallets. So you got to stick the forks in the pallet a little bit, pick it up, slide it, put it down, put the forks all the way in, pick it up, and then drive away. And in that sliding technique, sometimes they tip over. ice, and it's usually so we did like Ben and Jerry's, Breyer's ice cream, Tombstone Pizza, Hot Pockets.
Did you do Crustables too?
Yeah, we did Crustables for a little bit. So you'd have a mess up there 48 feet up, and like the first time I had to do it, I'm all scared. I got the vest on, clicking into the safety rack and stacking it, all scared. By the end of it, like if I dumped a pallet, I want to get out of the freezer. It's cold. Like the air conditioners are up there, and I smoked cigarettes at the time. But once you get up that high enough, the air conditioners are huge for -20. So you could light a cigarette up there. No one would ever know. So I dump a pallet, stick a cigarette in my mouth, climb up the shaft of my forklift, and then climb into the rack, restack it up, put my cigarette out, hide it in one of the racks, and then climb back down. Like that job was the shit that we used to do. There was crazy. You could tie, like, we had these big sheets of cardboard to layer on top of the pallet, so ice cream's not directly on the wood, it's on the cardboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take the sheet of cardboard, which is huge. You sit on it, tie it to the other person's forklift, and they would just start whipping down the aisles and you'd slide behind them.
Dude, that's the best.
Yeah.
Like,
And then
how did
also-
this shift work though? Because like they can't keep you in 32 degrees for 8 hours at a
So
time.
just like any job, like if you work in an office job, they tell you like, oh, you're supposed to get up every 10, you're supposed to get up once an hour for 10 minutes and walk around so your back feels better. And the same thing at this job, they'd be like, hey, you should only stay in the freezer for 15-minute periods and then come out and take a break. But all of your bonuses were percentage based. So like if you hit this tier of production, you got this percentage raise. So like in 4 years, I went from like $13 to $22, like very quickly.
Nice.
And so like you would just have to figure out the math. Like they had a computer system now and you probably can't cheat it. But back then it would just be like, you have to do 15 pallets an hour. But if you'd have to put the pallets in the freezer. If you would get close spots, you could put 15 pallets away in 15 minutes. If you got far away spots, it could take you an hour to put away 15 pallets. So I like knew that. We know which shit would go where and pick my shit, and I'd be done my work in 30 minutes and I could fuck around for 30 minutes. And then I'd work for 30 minutes and fuck around for 30 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember there was someone else worked there with you that was supposed to be a guest on this show and big timed us. So we're not going to mention their name, but we'll just mention that their mom is smoking hot. And he worked at this place with you. And I remember him telling me, he was like, I see Justin like fuck around all the time and do his stuff, but he's always done at the right time, right? Like he always hit his fucking numbers, And he's like, but I see him like he's like eating ice cream with a lid and like doing all this, you know what I mean? So
and the racks were like monkey bars. Like I got real good at so for a period of time, I was convinced that I could. So there was levels. They were 8 foot levels, A, B, C, D. And it would equal out to, what's that? 32 feet. Sometimes had E racks. So yeah, it'd be 48 feet at the highest.
Right.
And I was doing the math. I'm like, I could jump from D into C, like safely. Because it was like 16 feet for the aisle. And I'm like, and then if you add like the bonus, like I could jump 12 running. Like I was bored as shit. I used to hang up upside down under the racks. We would get high in there. So some of the racks were real deep. You could fit 5 pallets into a rack. So you could drive your forklift into the rack. You could walk by the aisle. You would see no forklifts because they're in the rack, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's one kid who I used to smoke with at work. He was older. He'd be like, meet me in a 5 deep, meaning like find me in a 5 deep rack where you can hide our lifts and we'll fucking smoke weed and operate heavy equipment all day.
Yeah. So you kind of like that job then? Like you're driving forklifts, you're messing around. Like if it wasn't so cold, right?
Yeah. If that job was moving Cheez-Its around instead of ice cream, I would have never stopped working. I mean, it wasn't my choice to leave, but I would have never stopped working there. I did quit. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I'm saying we're running into a theme here, it would seem. Why did you leave this job? Also, you wanted to mention something about the condensation on the doors.
Oh, yeah. So that build up, right? So the racks are real high. So you have to lift your forks up to get to the 48-foot rack. You stay on the ground, the forks go up. And it takes like, 15 seconds for the forks to get up that high. And in that moment, your forklift can't move. You can't move around. When your forks are moving, the forklift's locked. So sometimes you would pick racks by the doors where all the snow is built up on these I-beams.
Okay.
And thick layers of snow, big mounds would build up from that moisture, just all the doors opening all the time.
Yeah.
So you would take a Ben and Jerry's pint and you could put a good spiral on a Ben and Jerry's pint. And when somebody's stuck there by the door and their forks are going up and they can't move, you turn a corner, throw a Ben & Jerry's pipe up. All you got to do is hit one of the I-beams. It'll ding, and it'll ring and drop all the snow from the I-beams onto the person who's standing there. And you're helpless. Like, it happened to me. Like, you're helpless in that moment because you can't move your forks anymore. All you can do is either run away from your forklift or you have like stickers and pens and extra gloves and hand warmers on your lift and shit. Like, I have my shit laid out and just snow covers the whole ground, everything. Oh, it would be that was like a good prank to do. And we did shipping out of there.
So like you would just hear like a ping and be like, oh no.
Well, I would come around the corner and be like, yeah, and they'd see you like, no, and you just throw it up there. And by that, it's too late. Like if you run, it gets mad slippery. Like, 'cause I've seen some people would try to run, but if the snow came down, like that hard concrete and that real frozen snow would be so slippery.
Oh, you're done. You're done.
And we also shipped stuff with dry ice. And anytime anybody brought in a 2-liter, you would fill it up with a little bit of water, put some dry ice in there, screw the cap on, and just roll it down an aisle at them.
What? Really? How loud was that? No.
Dude, so one kid, we were doing it all the time. And we started bringing in temps, which meant that the company started bringing in a little more of an African-American crowd. And I loved every single one of them. Like Flip was my boy, Stacks and Smoke were all like really good fucking kids.
Best names ever.
Yeah, like Stacks was gigantic and wouldn't hurt a butterfly. Like the nicest man you've ever met in your life, but could crush your skull with his bare hands.
Sounds like someone I know.
And so I showed Fred this trick, like with a 20 ounce. Like, you put a couple of things of dry ice in, a little bit of warm water from the coffee machine, screw the cap on, and it bubbles up and explodes. And it sounds loud. And he's like, what if I brought in one of those 3-liter 8-treat bottles? And I was like, I think it would explode very loudly. So he brings it into work the one day.
What, you just sneak it in like under your jacket or something?
Well, it's in the lunchroom, So then you walk out to the dock. You have so much clothes on, you can sneak anything in because you got layers on layers. It's -20. You're in like fisherman outfit, basically.
Yeah.
Like the long johns and a coat.
Wait. It's -20 where you're driving the forklift, but then there's a place where it's 32 degrees.
Yeah, the dock. So the dock, like where you see like all the roll-up doors and tractor trailers back up to. There's like a big size dock inside that's 32 degrees.
Okay.
And then inside the freezer doors, there's these big giant doors that forklifts could drive through, and it's huge. It's the biggest cold storage facility in North America, or second biggest now. But at the time, it was the biggest. And I mean, you could fit basketball courts upon basketball courts inside of just one of the 3 freezers we were stocking.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was huge. Like you could drive in there for 10 minutes, like on a forklift. And,
wow.
So you could get away with doing stuff in the far back corner. Like this, what was going to sound like a shotgun blast would be like from the office. You'd be like, what was that? Yeah. But we took that big 8-treat bottle, dumped a bunch of dry ice in water and threw it. And we waited and it like didn't go off. And then Fred like started walking to, I'm like, don't like fireworks. I'm like, don't walk to it. Like it will eventually go off. There's pressure building inside of it. Yeah. So we both like back our foot. It was, I mean, I had it. It was so loud because it's indoors and inside that freezer. It was so loud. And then we got more creative. We started sticking them inside of ice cream and then putting like the lid back on the ice cream and letting them blow up.
In like an ice cream tub?
Yeah. So we would also ship to the 31 Baskin Robbins store, those 5-gallon drums.
Yeah.
And if they would get messed up, we would throw them away. We had like a throwaway bin. And
like if like a pallet broke and like because they can't sell that. Yeah.
Something sliced like the cardboard or even the packaging sometimes you couldn't sell it. So then like some stuff they let us take home, other stuff like once a year, twice a year, this guy who owned a pig farm would come and pick up our like fuck up pile of all the ice cream we couldn't sell. He would give it to the pigs. But so the day before you'd start stocking it up. So some of that stuff would get kind of warm. And that's when we would start sticking those exploding bottles inside the ice cream and like, boom, like blowing it up. And it'd be like all upside the wall. And like our bosses were like military men. All of them were like all former, like my shift especially was both 2 former Marines, one a former fighter pilot, the other a Marine.
Oh shit.
And the fighter pilot dude did not fuck around. Like, he looked crazy. And I loved fucking with him, but he was nuts. And then the other bull kind of like me, he's just a hard ass. And like he would come outside and like see the ice cream all over the wall. And he was like, it would like blow his mind so much that like he wouldn't even know what to say. He'd just be like, what are you doing out here? But, like, we're moving the ice cream for the pig farmer. Like, what's the problem here?
Yeah.
I don't know how that got there. Like, what
Yeah.
do you think? We're blowing ice cream up out of here?
Yeah. The pig blew it up. What do you want?
Oh man.
It's like,
Yeah,
that
it's
reminded
awesome.
me when I was in Nam. Yeah. So,
And yeah, like you were saying, we would have a blast freezer for Hatfield meat. So they would bring like the fresh cut ribs that need to get frozen. So inside the -20-degree freezer, there was this 12-foot fan, a huge fan, and they would tarp a couple of the racks so it'd make like an encased closure for the fan. And inside of that area with the fan on, it would get to between like -40 and -60.
Jesus.
And when I was like real hungover, because I'd be like 21, 22, still working there, coming like so hungover, feel like death. I would walk in there with just like my snow pants on, but nothing up top, like maybe a sweatshirt, and just get in that blast freezer. And you would stand there all hungover, and it would just
Man.
it would sober you up in 5 seconds.
Dude, it feels so good just hearing you describe that. Like, oh my.
yeah.
And it was so powerful, like the force of wind, like it'd be hard to breathe because like the force is coming at you so strong. You'd be like, and
Like that should be the commercial for Glacier Blast, like Gatorades. Like, here you go.
Yeah.
yeah, just
Man.
-40-degree wind hitting you and just make you feel alive again.
Oh, sounds incredible. Sounds incredible. So, okay. So let's keep it moving then. Nice. So, why did you have to leave that place?
Oh, and so they have a point system, and if you're late, you get a half a point. Late
Like
was
a
one-
point deduction.
Yeah, like you could get 4 points in your fire. So if you're late once, it's a half a point. If you're 1 minute late, it's like still getting dressed and not on the dock at 6 a.m. or 6, because I was working first shift when I got fired. So you're late, and late was 1 minute or 3 hours and 59 minutes. So like I was the dickhead who like, well, if I'm 1 minute late, I'll see you at 10 a.m. because I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be as equally late. Like I'll see you in 3 hours and 59 minutes. But anyway, I'm at 3.5 points, and the 08 Phillies win the World Series.
Oh, man.
baby.
And I don't wake up for work the next morning.
Oh man. Dude, I
was
remember
on
that.
my floor. So my car was in the shop. I was getting picked up by a kid who lived like on the way to work, and my alarm was going off. This is when I woke up on my floor by my front door. I slept by the front door on purpose so that I knew Bull would wake me up. But my alarm was going off. My dog was barking. He said he knocked on my door, but I was just assed out. I woke up at
Too
like
much.
9 o'clock.
Yeah. I was I remember for me, I was bouncing at the field house the night the Phillies won the World Series in 08, and it was like madness. Where were you, Pete?
Pandemonium.
I had the first game, the first half of the game, because there was the rain out.
Yeah.
There was this shitty little bar called Rum Bar that like wasn't ready for the Phillies at all because it was next to Irish pub. So I was trying to get an Irish pub, and Irish pub was too booked. They wouldn't let us in. So then like we got to go somewhere. So this bar next door, we go in, and people were like had like their little nice little plates, and I'm like, I give the bartender a 20 to put on the Phillies game. And everyone in that place fucking hated me because the bartender full. So then all of a sudden more people start piling in and sitting on people that are trying to like eat their dinner.
Yeah.
And then but for the second half, I was at Village Tavern. I just did a good
the good old VT. Nice. Dude, I remember when I was bouncing the field house, I was working the door, right? And they had a maximum capacity that could be in. So I was on the inside, and I was like checking IDs and things like that, and like collecting the money, and then would let them through. And then I had a guy on the outside who was like watching the door, like watching people as they came in. And and we were at capacity and we weren't letting people in. And there's this 2 people that showed up, and the guy in the door knocked. He would give me a signal. He would knock as these guys are willing to pay. And the couple was like, he was like, "Come on, can we come in?" And I was like, "Sorry, man, we're at capacity." And then he put a 20 on the door, and I just went, and he was, and he put 2 20s on the door, and I was like, "You got to pay me and the guy outside." So we ended up paying $80, 40 to the guy outside and 40 to me, and we let them in. Yeah. And then we ended up throwing out like a couple people, but that was an easy loop. I'll tell you, that was like a nice cash loop. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah.
So nice. All right. So let's keep it going. All right. So after you left working there, right after the Phillies won the World Series, you left the cold storage place and you went to Gary's World of Wellness. So yeah, Gary's World of Wellness. Tell us about it, J-Dub.
So I get fired the day the Phillies win the World Series, or the day after the Phillies win the World Series. I have an apartment, I have a girlfriend, I have a dog. Like, I'm not in a position to be fired. So I immediately like get on Craigslist. I have a job by month. I have an interview on Monday, and I'm like hired by Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
And I find it on Craigslist randomly, and I start working at this warehouse in Norristown, and it's basically outside of Norristown. It's basically like a GNC, like protein powders and herbal supplements, and natural remedy stuff, all like Amazon style. So like it gets picked in a cart. Each bin is a somebody's package. The cart gets taken to the packing station. You take the package out, you pack it up, and then you ship it out via the mail. I work in the warehouse. It's a terrible job. It's like the first job I find. Everyone there is like so dumb. So like I move up very quickly, and I meet some cool characters there. Like there's a couple like kids I like. There's a kid I still hang out with today who I met there. The old man, John, ended up working there. And my one buddy, he since passed away, but he was a beautiful soul. And he loved stealing stuff from that place, and I didn't know. And so he was a big
one truth love, and it was theft.
He was like Spanish in descent, but like he looked very Caucasian. Like you never know, like blonde hair, blue eyes, but very Spanish, like heritage Spanish family. I met all his family. I met his wife and his kids, and he was gigantic, yo. Like he had the from Dusk Till Dawn tattoo, like up to his neck, down his shoulders. And he started taking the supplements and stuff from this place and was getting like huskier too. Oh. And I'm living in Norristown. This job's outside of Norristown. And my girlfriend at the time was from New Jersey, very like well-to-do parents, weren't a big fan of us living in Norristown. And it's me and him in the car, which rarely ever happened. Yeah. And I pulled to the corner, and my boy is out there shirtless in front of the Sunoco on the corner. And he goes, and they called me Jay Wet back then. And he goes, Jay Wet, you trying to get busky with me? And he's shirtless, just flexing.
Why?
I don't know. He's just out there, just getting it. Just wants to you want to get busky with me? I don't know what he was doing. And my girlfriend's dad like looks over at me like, do you know him? I was like, he's been in our home.
Wait. So just to be clear, you worked with this dude, right? But you and your girl, you're living in Norristown, which for those people not in the Philadelphia area, there's parts of Norristown, not the best areas. And
the street we picked was a terrible one.
So
somebody got stabbed on my block. I'm sorry, keep going.
Oh man. So don't be sorry.
Somebody got shot 2 weeks after I moved out.
So wow. So you're living there with your girl, and your girl is from, like McMansion area, New Jersey, and her well-to-do parents are showing up in like, khakis and loafers, and they're driving their Beamer, and you go to get gas at a gas station, and one of your buddies that you work with that has been to your house,
to be the head of the Latin Kings.
Yeah, he's got a huge tattoo, big, strong dude that was hopped up on all these supplements. He's hanging out on the corner by the gas station, and he yells, Jay Wet, you want to get busky. Not husky, busky.
You want to get busky with me?
Yeah. And the dad's just like, well, this relationship's over.
I don't know what kind of people you're hanging out with. So then fast forward, I start working third shift. And third shift sucks, but like my manager's cool. So like they divide the warehouse and the packaging. So like I run the warehouse, he runs all the packagers. They got to pack boxes. I got to make sure we're pulling stuff for them. Okay. And I'm making sure the stuff gets inventoried in. So I scan it, say how many are in the system. That's all I do all night pretty much. You open the boxes, I say how many are here. Yeah. And then we go pull it and they pack it. So the packing manager, he's cool. Every like 10 o'clock break, because it's 8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay.
And it's 8 hours. Is that 8 hours? It's 10 hours. It's 10-hour shifts because you work like 4 days. You do 4 10s instead of having to do 5 days.
But you're running on fucking vampire time.
Yeah, it's like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you're done Thursday morning until Sunday night. It was a nightmare. It was the worst time of my life. Like, and the things I was up to. But so he always rolls a blunt and smokes it on break with everybody. Everybody keeps it cool. It's not like a big deal. I'll go into a story some other day about how I got arrested one night while I was smoking weed at work. And so I would walk out and he would smoke his own late at night, like at like 2 a.m. He'd smoke his own L. And I'd usually get in on it because like we're both managers, but he also liked to smoke wet a lot. And so anytime he would be smoking wet, he'd be like, nah, you don't want this. Like he'd be on the other side of this wall out back, and I'd be like, you, and he'd be like, nah, you don't want it. And I'd be like, all right, go back inside. And one night, like 3 a.m., I'm bored. I'm like mad at work. I walk out back. I'm like, you. He's like, nah, you don't want it. I was like, fuck it, yeah, dude. Let me try wet. I never tried wet.
Smoky.
I go around the back to where the dumpsters are, and he's like, it's not even mixed. It's just pure wet in a blunt. I was like, oof. I was like, well, we came this far. Let me try it.
I didn't walk out here for nothing.
Take 2 hits. He's like, all right, that's good. I sneak one more, hand it to him. I'm like, all right, that tastes crazy. It tastes like incense. Like, tastes crazy. Ugh. And I walk back inside the warehouse, like 4 steps back down into the warehouse, and I feel like I weigh like 65 pounds. Like, I just feel light and loose.
How long did it last for?
It's like a call. Like I remember like being in a zone. I just like did my job for like 3 more hours. And then I was like, it's 6 a.m. Okay, I have to go home now. I'm like, ooh, this is crazy.
He woke up, he's on this podcast right now. He's like, anyway.
They're like, okay, time to go. And I'm like, I have no idea if I've done my whole job perfectly or I've done everything wrong for the last 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, you're kind of in like the Leonardo DiCaprio phase in Wolf of Wall Street, where he thinks he's driving the car perfectly, but in reality, he's, sloshed up everywhere. Man, all right. Well, that's, yikes. So, okay. So that shit, you were there for a couple of years, right? 3 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, you went to where you're at now, but in a different role. So you started where you're at now as a driver for medical equipment. Is that right?
Yeah, like delivering. So I was working that 3rd shift job. I was miserable. And then my buddy who
that's a rough,
company,
like, people don't know. That's fucking rough. When you work that late shift gimmick, that is fucking rough, right?
I was living in a house with 2 of my roommates, and my one buddy worked first, my other buddy worked second, and I worked third. So literally, like, I would see one in the morning, and then one at the end of the night, and one in the, like, we all would see each other at a different time, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then on the weekend, like, everybody's up, and you work 3rd shift, so you're up all night.
Yeah. Dude, dude, those late night shifts, that really, like, people don't realize how much it messes with you mentally as well.
You
Like,
get done work at 6 a.m.
You need to see the sunshine, man. Like, you can't be sleeping during the day. Like, you need that shit. It fucks with you big time, like,
it's terrible.
Yeah. Not a fan.
It's a rough lifestyle, especially even 2nd shift. Like, it promoted to, like, you get done work at 11 o'clock. Like, the only thing that's open is a bar and one McDonald's. Like, you're like,
and Wawa.
Yeah, and Wawa.
Like, you were living
that
off.
might be more dangerous than the bar.
Dude, I remember living off Wawa for years just because, like, I'm bartending and you don't get done till, like, the earliest is midnight sometimes, or sometimes, like at Graham's, it's like 3-4 a.m. sometimes, and it's just like, what can you do?
Go to a diner.
Yeah, dude. But even then, it's like, who wants to go to a diner on a Wednesday night after you just close the bar? Like, not me, But, like, so, all right. So either way, you leave the night shift job and you start driving the medical equipment. So, like, what were your responsibilities and what was this like?
So it's a big old box. So they give me a big old box truck.
All right.
There we go.
So I'm the newest employee. So it's a smaller company. Now it's a big company, but when I first started, it was small. So one guy had the local route, like Lansdale, a little bit of Telford some days, Hatfield.
Yeah.
I had the Kensington route.
Love it.
Oh, there we go, baby.
Greatest place on earth, some would say.
I ventured to North Philly when I was a child to buy like 40s and stuff. I would take the R5 to Fern Rock, walk up to Broad Street, go to My Place Tavern. They were 99-cent Dakota Kicks, and then bring them back to North Wales like a king with my accomplishments.
Yeah.
So, like, I had a little bit of, like, the city's grimy, but it's fine. The city is grimy, yo.
Yeah.
When I started driving it, so I was a Kensington driver. I had this big Isuzu, the flat front. Steering wheel was like right in between your lap.
Yeah.
And I'd never driven one of these before. Like, they just, you pass a test and they let you drive. Like, you don't need a CDL or anything like that.
Right. It's the class below. They're like, all right, that's where we can hire anybody.
Yeah.
I'm coming down this tiny street and I'm looking. So everybody's parked on the right. I'm looking on the right very digitally. So I don't hit any mirrors. But on the
okay.
On the left side of me is a tree that comes up and like bends over the top of the truck, but I don't notice that the truck's not going to clear only on that side of the street.
Oh my God.
So I'm driving I'm going so slow, and the truck like stops going and kind of pushes backwards. I'm like, that's weird. I don't think that's even a thing in cars, but okay. I like get out, I look, like, am I hitting like a root like in the ground that like made me roll back like that? I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Nope, nothing down on this tire, I didn't hit the cars. I'm cool. I get back in, I try again. I hear like a little, I'm like, what am I hitting? Bull comes out of his house like, yo, look up. I'm hitting a tree and it's like crumpling the corner. So
of your like
of this box truck.
The tree's not given, your truck is given.
Oh yeah, this is a big tree. Where nobody's worried about the tree.
Okay.
So,
this guy just he's like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like,
yeah.
And this is like, I've been there for like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. Like I haven't been there that long. And I know that if you cause like a certain, I don't get into that. But so I haven't been there that long. I see like it's cracked. Like I go on the inside, it's cracked. I'm like, all right, I got to bring the truck back to the shop. So it's 5 o'clock. Like I'm driving down 76. I'm doing like, 55 in a right lane, nothing crazy. I notice like no one's behind me. And I'm like, that's weird, right? Like it's 5 o'clock rush hour. Like tons of people in front of me. Nobody to my right or to my left. Nobody really piled up behind me. That's odd. Pull it back to the shop, get out, I open the back door. The whole ceiling of the truck has been just chipping off and flying off as I was driving down 77.
Oh, no.
It was fiberglass and it cracked. I didn't know. So those chunks, the reason no one was behind me the whole time on 76 is because, the other thing too is as I'm driving there, I noticed the cops leaving our development of where my workshop is. I think nothing of it, and they don't like pull me over or nothing. And when I pull in, I guess somebody must have called and been like, one of your trucks is literally, the roof is flying off as it's driving down 76.
Oh, one of those, call and tell me how my driving is. Like this one actually picked up the phone and was like,
I was like, ooh, my bad.
Yeah.
But then I started working in the office. Now I do sales liaison work inside the hospital. So like if you're going to discharge with a CPAP or oxygen or a wheelchair, I make sure the paperwork that comes out of the hospal, your insurance that qualifies with your insurance to actually pay for the equipment.
All right. So this is
shitty bills.
Well, you ain't wrong there, Pete, but this is fascinating. So this is the type of stuff I love. So this is something I'm super curious about. So whenever you have to leave the hospital after staying there, they have to take you out on a wheelchair. Isn't that like a rule?
They roll you to the front so that, it's like the reason you don't let a player play in the NBA when he's about to get traded. You just don't want anything to happen before this. I don't want you tripping in the hallway and staying another day. We'll get you out of the hospital safely.
Yeah.
Got to protect that medical malpractice insurance.
Yeah.
So it's like a CYA of, like this is, hey, we wheeled you to the door and made sure you were good. Once you step out, it's on you now, bub. Right?
Yeah.
Like
you left the hospital healthy. We guarantee it. We rolled you to the front door.
We have video evidence.
Some patients will be like, I work in a city hospital. So some patients will be like, I'll be like, where are you discharging to? And they'll be like, outside. And I'll be like, yeah, like outside the hospital, obviously, but like where? They go, no, I'm just going to walk out of here. And that's where I live.
And you're like,
right. What's your address? Not the hospital.
I'm like, how do you get mail?
You're like, the bridge that you drove over to get here, I'm underneath there, bub. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely, how do you how do I contact you?
That's the one big thing about like hospitals. Like, you have this idea of like hospitals, like these are all trained professionals. These are all like highly educated people. This is a well-run place. And then the first time I started working in hospitals first. And the first time I walked in there, I was like, oh, these people, this is just like any other job. There's a bunch of dumb people who work here. Like, if you just put on a button-up shirt and a backpack, you can go anywhere you want in a hospital. I mean, for safety reasons, don't. But just so you know, if you put on a button-up shirt, you can go anywhere you want in a hospital.
Oh, man.
That was like back when I used to go into bars and I would just walk through the kitchen and pretend like I worked there. I was like large enough where people were like, oh, I guess he's like the manager or something.
Yeah, he's the new bouncer now. Yeah.
It's surprised how many people won't ask you questions if you just look like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, and act like it.
And like you're polite, like, hey, how are you? Oh,
yeah, in all these cases, I was supposed to be there, but still, I was just like, I'm surprised not more people are stopping me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think
Just
there'd be a
walk
higher
around in
level
here?
of security?
And then there's some, and you can tell there's the doctors who like don't care and like don't know anything. Like I've had doctors ask me like, what should it be? And I'm like, what should the settings be? I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Why did you ask me? You're the scientist.
Yeah, didn't you go to school for 20 years? Like, what the hell is this? Also, this is
the one guy's like, so what are they like usually? I'm like, usually? I don't know, for this human being. Or
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the specifications for this person.
Look, we got a typical human being over there. We need typical settings. What are the typical ones?
Yeah. Damn,
I don't know.
Yeah, we won't name this hospital by name, even though we already did. But yeah, we won't name this hospital by name. But just know every hospital you go to, they're not all geniuses.
Yeah, not every. There is the dumb person at work at every work.
There's a dumb person, and then there's the crazy person. And if you don't know who the crazy person is at your office, it's you.
Might be you.
Yeah. I remember Dane Cook had like a great shtick about that, like having like a crazy person at the office. He's like, you know what? That crazy person at the office every day, or something, I say hi, and maybe once in a while I buy him a Snickers. Like, here, that's for you. So when he does come and shoot up the office, he's gonna be like, you know what? Thanks for that Snickers, and let me go.
All right, Snickers, man, you get to live.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's keep it going. So we're coming to the top of time. Justin, very fascinated with what you've done and the work you've done, and really proud of you to see your journey of where you come from and like where you're at now, because you started driving at the medical equipment place at like 27, 28, right?
Yeah.
So you've been there for like 7 or 8 years almost.
I've been there for 10 years.
10 years.
Oh shit.
Okay, so you've been there for 10 years, right? And you've really had quite the journey here of like, you started at driving there, you worked in the office, and like you bounced around in 10. Some people for
Matt,
like
he went from Coke at Papa John's to wet at this cold storage
Cool.
place.
Warehouse.
Yeah. What he went from the coked up Papa John's to the wet warehouse to now he's the sales liaison for a medical place. And like, he's running and he's helping people out and like, helping people get the medical treatment they need and stuff. I'm very proud of you, man. This is a tough road that you walk down. We didn't get into
that is the one part about working. Like, it is depressing working in a hospital. You do.
Yeah, when people can't afford the equipment or they don't have insurance.
Most people see me on their worst day. Like, I walk in the room and today's the last day you breathe air alone, unassisted.
Oh man.
Hello.
Yeah.
So I had one kid. I'll just real quick. One of my favorite stories. There was one kid who was in the hospital for like 3 months, and he was finally going to get discharged.
Wait, a kid?
Yeah, he was 20. He might have been 21 because he was younger than me when I was there.
Okay.
22. Like, he was cool.
All right.
But he had been in the hospital for 3 months. I was showing up right as he's about to leave to deliver him a nebulizer to his room. And it's like, especially people with like weakened immune systems, they're like double door, like locked in, usually like in the back corner, like long stays and stuff.
Yeah.
Not a lot of like walking by. So I go to drop it off. The kid has a PlayStation in his room. He's been trapped in here for months. I'm like, what games do you have? I'm in this hospital every day. I'm like, what games do you have? He's like, I got 2K, I got the new hockey, and I'm like, do you have another controller? He's like, yeah. He's like, nobody in here will play with me. So the next week, I spent every day in this kid's room playing NHL. Like, it would have been like NHL like 19 with him, maybe 18 with him.
Yeah.
It was so much fun though. And like, he's like, I can just tell he's been trapped in a room alone for like 3 months. He like finally have like visitors. And like, I'm like, there's a PlayStation inside this hospital and I didn't know for all these months.
So what happened when he got discharged?
I didn't talk to him after that. I had one when I was a driver. I'll tell you this last one. So when I was a driver, I used to drop off tanks. They're very heavy tanks. So this guy was on the lung patient list. His name was, I would call him Thomas. And so he was on the 3rd floor of like, he lived like in the kind of not too far from the state prison, like in that Mayfair State Road kind of area.
Okay.
And
doors down.
So each tank was 10 pounds, like 12 pounds full. And I'd have to lug him up these damn stairs, drop him off every week. His wife was like so nice. He was the man. He would tell me all these like stories. Because when I was a driver, especially being in like the Kensington area, like most of the people I dealt with were the worst. And then like this guy was cool and he would tell me like stories about his old life. And like I loved him to death. And I even as much as I hated to stop, like how heavy the crap was, like I didn't care. I got shit chat with him. So I show up one day and he's not there, and it's just the wife. And I'm like, where's old man Tom? And he's like, she like starts to like buckle, and she's like, he passed away. And I was like, oh shit. He was on the lung transplant list at this one hospital, and he also applied at another hospital. So he passed away on a Saturday, and his wife got home, and she plays the voicemails, and he died at like, I don't know, midnight on Saturday night. At like 1:38 a.m. randomly, another hospital had a lung for him.
Jesus Christ.
And we like sat there, like she like I just started crying. Like I was like, I didn't know what to say. And we like sat there together for a while and shit. Because I had to like take everything that time. And I was like, damn.
Oh, that's tough.
He's like, you be good. And I was like, you be good too, yo. I was like, and I told her, I was like for the most part, like I hate like pretty much like most of the people I drop off oxygen equipment to, like I don't care if they live or die. I honestly, like some of them smoke, like I don't care at all. But like this dude was the man. She's like, thank you. That means a lot to me.
That's a bummer. Hey man.
Yeah.
You run into people. Yeah, it is nice. It is nice when you meet someone you like, but a lot of the times it's a shame that people are jerks and you know abusing this stuff. Yeah.
And somebody tried to steal my gloves one time. I had like those workman gloves.
Yeah.
The cool ones, yo. I like bought them at the store, $20. Workman paid for them.
Yeah.
He's like, let me get those gloves. I was like, I will die. I was with another driver at the time. I was like, I will die for these gloves. And both like, I'm down. I was like, I'm just saying, you're not getting these off of me.
Yeah. So nice. Okay. So Justin, thanks so much for sharing your stories and everything like that. We're coming to the top of time. Great stuff. And I know me and Pete are usually we're usually in sync with this, but we would love to have you back if you're willing to come back on the show.
Yeah, I don't have much else to do.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah. So
this is fun. I like you guys.
No, dude, we like having you too, man. This is great. And I think we all have a good chemistry here. But great stories, great shares, man. This is awesome stuff. And we're coming to the top of time. Before we get out of here, Justin, J-Dub, N-Dub's favorite son, do you have anything you would like to say to your adoring fans before we get out of here?
So I tell most people, just be good and behave yourself.
Like
nice. Not a chance.
Yeah,
I like saying that I say it because I deal mostly with older people too. Like I always say that to them, and they always like get a kick out of it. I'm like, behave yourself. Don't be acting up. Like,
yeah.
You little whippersnapper, you.
Yeah, that's funny.
You're doing anything crazy, all right? Just relax.
Yeah.
I know you're very high strung.
Nice. What about you, Party Boy Pete? Anything you want to say to your rabid fan base before we get out of here?
No, just be nice to your oxygen delivery man. He's saving your life out there. Get the good stories. Stop bitching at him. Stop smoking.
Yeah. Don't waste that good air. He's bringing you the good air. So, all right. So this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by the Prince's Party Boy Pete McCormick, and our guest today was the one and only Justin Richardson. You can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, then do us a favor and email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. All right, this is the end of the show. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See you. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott and Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott and Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott & Bell Publishing, where the authors go.